This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sander's is 40, mine is 39, and we have a similar ambition to progress in our business and personal growth. Many successful people have started small, just like us, but very few of them have documented their early years. They often say they wish they had, and given we believe in learning lessons from others, we intend to be the first to document our journey from start to finish. This is simply a documentary of our lives, and as such, we do not monetize these videos, so enjoy the ad-free content. Each episode is broken down into 3 segments, each covering our progress over the past week. We start by discussing our life updates, then our business updates, and lastly, we share any lessons we've learned over the past week. We have timestamps in the description to navigate these sections easily. Today is April 29th, 2026, and we're recording episode 105 after a 2-week break because we each got sick at different times. So, what is your life update this month? This is the back end of April.
2 months. Yeah.
Not 2
Sorry.
months. 2 weeks.
Yeah, so last couple of weeks, so been working at Blue Origin. I did have 3 days off last week because I was in Road Atlanta. I'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But I'm still working about a week and a half at Blue Origin with just different testing work, console panel design. So I'm actually like making changes and designing console layouts for different systems that we have.
Gotcha.
So just today I pushed those into the production side of things. So those are going to get validated this week.
Cool.
And then they should be on the floor, which will be kind of cool. Sammy talked me into going to an ice skating event in Orlando.
Okay.
It's called Stars on Ice. I remember.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, I've
Fast
seen this
ever.
before.
Yeah.
They've got like Disney characters and stuff.
No.
Oh, okay.
This is like the Olympic skaters of the U.S. and they come and do a performance.
Oh, that's cool.
Skate their Olympic like skates, and then they do like different group skates and stuff like that too. So, did that. That was actually it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it. Did that on Saturday 18th.
Does she know about the skating world, or is she?
Yeah, she would do like she brought it up because she's really like into it. Like
Gotcha.
she, Alyssa Wu or whatever, the famous Olympic skater who won gold.
Okay.
Whatever. Anyways, she's
This
really
year?
into it. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
She's really into it.
Has Sammy been into it, or is she now into it?
She's been into it. That's why
Okay,
she
gotcha.
like brings me to ice skating and stuff.
Gotcha.
She like wants to get better and whatever.
Gotcha.
Apparently, I'm a qualified teacher. Not sure how, but yes, I am better. So that I can qualify a teacher. But yeah, did that. That was fun. I also dropped off the BMW at Autobahn, and they looked at it and whatever.
Just fill it with thermite, blow it up at the compound.
It's a mixed bag.
Oh, okay.
So they pulled plugs and coils on it. I assumed the plugs were gonna look terrible because it was missing horribly.
Like
And
Camaro terrible, or like
I don't know. Like I just assumed they'd look bad.
right?
Because even if the plugs were good to start, how bad it was running, I assume made those plugs look really bad really quickly.
Right.
And so they pulled them and they looked horrible. They were like orange, like a very orangey white color.
I've never had that.
Just like not really like oil burn, but just like really lean. Which makes sense because it was cutting. So when that car has a miss, I talked to Alex a little bit about it. When that car has a miss, it'll cut fuel supply to that injector when it detects like a dead miss, something like that. So basically what was happening was the car was detecting misses and then cutting fuel, and then it was starting to come back to life. That's why I was getting all that crazy bucking.
Right.
Because it was essentially just cutting fuel, which is what it felt like. And so they pulled oils and plugs, and they're like, these look like shit. And there was also 2 mismatched coils from previous owner, whatever. So they put a new set of coils and plugs on it. The car ran a lot better, but I still had a miss on cylinder 2 once the car got warmed up. This is what I was afraid of. I was afraid that they were going to do coils and plugs and the car was still going to miss, and I had a hunch about what it was going to be. I didn't really want it to be that, but it ended up being that. So cylinder 2 has a dead miss at warm idle because it has low compression. So that cylinder, pretty much nothing you can really do about it. Across the board, spec is supposed to be between 185 and 205.
Okay.
Across the board, I'm 150. Cylinder
Oh.
2 is 100.
Mm.
Yeah, so like worse. Significantly
Do you
worse.
think that's rings?
I don't know for sure. I don't know if it's rings or not.
Valve
I
stems?
did some research on it. I'm inclined to believe that it's probably burnt exhaust valve. That seems to be a common issue in the heads.
Yeah.
When they get hot, the exhaust valves will burn up.
Yeah.
Especially if they've run, if they've been mistreated in the past, or they were ran really hard. I think this car had a hard life before I got it, like a genuinely hard life,
Most
just based on
BMWs
the
do.
issues that I've encountered.
It's a lot of people not taking care of them, and then
Yeah.
they have reliability issues.
So that's what I'm inclined to believe. It was interesting. This actually gave me the opportunity to dive in a little bit about octane ratings, because one of the things that one of my coworkers mentioned to me, and I thought was kind of a clever idea, was like, why don't you try, instead of running 93 in the car, which is what you're supposed to run in the car, why don't you try like running 91 or 89? If you have low compression anyway, maybe you can get that cylinder to fire up a little bit.
Yeah, try to detonate it.
Right, or not even just detonate it, but if it's not building enough pressure to even detonate,
right.
just get a fuel that's easier to combust.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of a clever idea. And so, but then I was like, well, what about dynamic pressure versus static pressure? Because it's
True.
different when the motor's running.
It's true.
So then I started researching that. It was actually kind of interesting. So the ignition temperature required to just ignite fuel between 87 and 93 is virtually the same. The difference is, and that's what generates your pressure.
Yep.
What the difference is its resistance to detonation, which is when it just combusts, auto combusts
Under pressure.
under pressure and heat.
Right.
So that resistance, when that really big pressure wave is generated, is different.
Right.
But in terms of actually getting the fuel to combust, it's largely the same. The other interesting thing is, even at low compression around 100, the static compression is relatively the same. And so if you run a lower octane fuel, you actually still risk detonation in that motor, because the static pressure is going to be really damn close. So that was really
So
interesting.
it's not useful to try running a lower octane fuel.
Another interesting thing I learned is that carbon buildup on that exhaust valve could have potentially caused it to burn up, if that's the issue. But generally speaking, in a motor that's older, it's actually better to run higher octane fuel, because as carbon builds up, carbon will actually trap heat and create hot pockets in on the cylinder head. And if you run a lower octane fuel, it can actually detonate just from that hot spot of carbon buildup in that dome.
The flame flow is uneven.
Right, and also you get detonation, which is really bad really quickly.
Right.
So I thought that was really interesting too. So it's not an avenue that I ended up pursuing, but it did let me.
Is the miss bad enough now that a non-car person could tell?
I think so. I mean, at the very least, it throws a light. So so kind of my options were, Alex called me up and he was like, hey, like, this was the deal with the car. I was like, I gotcha. And he was like, I kind of got two options for you. I got a friend of mine who I actually know. He has a spare motor for this car with 90,000 miles on it that he's willing to sell you for 800 and then drop it in for an additional 1,700. So 2,500 out the door with a new motor in the car. I was like, okay. And he was like, the other option is you just put coils and plugs on it and then you drive it. I was like, I gotcha. And I was thinking, and I was like, dead miss at idle, like most of my driving is above 2,000 RPM because I'm just cruising in fourth or fifth gear. Like I'm moving most of the time. And like even a dead miss at idle on one of the cylinders, like I'm not going to lose sleep over that. I was like, honestly, I think I'm just going to drive the car until the rest of the motor goes out. And like the car has so many problems that it's just not feasible anymore, and then I'll part it out or junk it. And I was like, I'm just gonna drive it, and so not deal with the motor or anything like that.
Yeah, I feel like doing a whole motor swap for
I just don't love the car enough.
Well, here's my thinking is like, even if you did love the car, like say the Miata had this exact issue, is the answer to motor swap it? Like that's kind of like getting rid of an anthill with like a fucking hydrogen bomb, Like this could be just worn exhaust valves and you just have to have the heads reseated, right? Like it could not be a big deal. It could even be right. It's likely not a head gasket issue. At worst, it's maybe like rings, and like that's a bitch of a job that you don't have to do. But like if you're that deep in the motor, to do a repair, then maybe you just want to replace it. But it's also a lot more expensive to replace a whole motor than to just
It's
like
also
repair the
like
rotors.
regardless, even if I could determine it was the head for sure, it's like I
Mhm.
don't even care enough to pull the head off.
Right.
It's like
Well,
I
and at
just
that
don't
point,
like the car enough. Like if it was a 6-speed manual wagon,
right.
I'd be like, okay, I kind of want to keep this car. Like I kind
Well,
of like it. But
right.
the fact that it's a sedan, the fact that it's not quite the spec that I would want for like life
Mhm.
if I really, really had the car,
Yeah.
and given all the issues it's given me so far and the other work that it still needs,
Mhm.
I'm like, let's fix the ABS module so I don't have to worry about it. Fix the key thing because it bothers the shit out of me. I just
Mhm.
want to figure that out. I need a new light control module again. Oh,
Right.
actually, he fixed that for me for free. He
Oh,
reset the adaptation on it, so I don't need
cool.
a new light control module. At least it fixed it for now, which is good. And I was like, let's just do these things and make the car run and drive.
Yeah.
And like at that point, like I'm just gonna drive it for the next few years
Mhm.
and just get my value out of it.
Mhm.
Just like drive the thing and fix what breaks, like only what breaks.
Mm.
Because I've fixed what's broken, and then also like try to do more. Like, and that's like how I consistently do my cars is
Mhm.
like if one of the tensioners goes out, I do both tensioners and the idlewear and the 2 belts
Right.
versus like just getting the tensioner.
Mhm.
Right. And so it's like I'm approaching this car differently at this point where it's like if something squeaks, just replace the thing that squeaks.
Yeah.
And like that's it. And it's like if something breaks and it dies on the road, like I just deal with it then. Um because
Mm.
I don't want to invest any more crazy money into the car. I want to make
Right.
it safe. I want to fix the seatbelt and the ABS
Right.
and the keyless entry if it's cheap,
Mhm.
if they can reset the module or whatever. And then just drive it and do oil changes on it
Right.
and whatever. So I'm kind of at that point with the car where it's like, just use it for what it is, and it is what it is. And if I want to get rid of it, I'll probably part it out because I'll probably get a lot more money for it parting it out.
You think so?
Yeah,
Then
for
if
sure.
you get the Gremlins fixed right now, but it still has this deadness at idle, you could still sell it for a couple
E30
grand.
rents have fallen through the floor in value in the last 2 years,
In the last 2 years.
like a year and a half.
Wow, people are just realizing what kind of cars they are.
Yeah, like ones in similar condition to mine right now are sitting on marketplace for 2,500.
Damn.
Yeah, like plummeted in value.
Yeah, probably just drive it till it blows up.
Yeah, it's like
I
that's
thought
why
it
I
was
was
worth like 5 or 6, and so if you get it for
It
like 4
was
for a good deal,
maybe 3-4 years ago. Yeah, but they've just
and then everyone
ones
started getting
with
it
like
deadness at
new
idle.
paint job, rebuilt headlights, no codes or anything, good condition, similar mileage to mine, are like sitting on marketplace for $5 grand, $4.5 grand.
Got it.
And so it's like at that point, it's like,
People don't
but you could sell a door for $250, $300.
You're in the parts
Right.
business.
Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
at that point, it's like, oh, just part the car out.
Right.
If it comes
It's a
to
better
that.
deal.
Yeah.
It's a better deal.
Yeah. So that's kind of the plan with that car right now. It's a little bit of a whatever. I kind of
Yeah.
expected it to be bad news just because of how much I tried to throw at it to get the issue to go away.
Well, this is exactly how I expected this car to go when you bought it, but I did not expect the values to change like this because when
Yeah.
you bought it, you got it for 5 and it was worth 6, or you got it for 5.
Yeah, I
and
got
was
it for
worth 4.
around 5. It was
Something like
probably
that.
worth around that.
Yeah. And so the thinking was like, oh, well, if you own it for a couple years, then, the value will be pretty stable, or you'll make a
Yeah.
little money with maintenance. You'll probably break even, but like still you have like, 4 or 5 grand of equity in the car that you could cash
Yeah.
in if you needed it.
Right.
And so it sucks that that's gone.
Yeah, no, it's plummeted through the floor. That's why I was like thinking about, I was like, what if I just sell it now? And it's like, I thought about it, and I was like, if I put the car up and let's say I just take $2 grand for it,
Mhm.
it's like, would I rather have $2 grand in my pocket right now
Mm-hmm.
or a vehicle that at least can get me around and I can fit bins in
Right.
and fit stuff in?
Well, and if you sell this one, you're just gonna have to get something to replace it. And
Right.
if you're
Or
not
borrow
getting enough,
Sammy's car all the time, which
That
is
sucks.
kind of a
if
hassle.
you're not making enough money from selling this car to buy a replacement right away, then drive it until you have some money saved up to do so, and then part it out.
Yeah.
Or sell it then. Like you might be
Yeah.
running the same.
If I have
now
enough money, I just
in
might
6 months.
sell it for $1,500 or $2 grand and
Yeah.
just let someone else deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I have the money.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the story is with that car right now.
Well, better story than it was last month.
Yeah. I mean, last month it wasn't moving at all, so
Mhm.
that's better.
Mhm.
But that's about it for my life update. Everything else I got is wrapped into my business update for the last 2 weeks. But
Cool.
what do you have for life this week?
I have a lot more.
Cool.
Mine also starts with car problems because I don't.
Ah.
None of this is like on a timeline. It's just kind of like what I can remember.
Yeah.
But Camaro no go. The Camaro was having trouble starting, so you kindly lent me the battery jumper,
Mm.
which I used to start the car. I drove the car to work, and then the car wouldn't start again. Now, when I started it at home with the jumper, it like took a second to get going, and then it got going, and I realized later that the connection between the jump claw and the battery was really poor because it's a tiny little nub of an 8 mil bolt that I have to get the bolt head clipped onto. So when I was in the car parking lot at work and I was trying to clip it on, it kept falling off. Like the engine would start to crank, the whole engine would shake, and it would knock the clip off.
Mm.
And so I wasted a full charge of the jump pack on that.
Mm.
Went home, recharged it, brought it back out. It was enough to get the car started, but then the car started and then immediately died.
Mm.
Like if I took my foot off the gas, it would just die.
Mm.
And I was like, oh shit, I don't know what kind of problem this is. Cause that's not like a battery thing. Like your car doesn't need like, you know, like this isn't like a jump issue, right? Like once the car is started, then the alternator should be charging the battery and it should be good. Unless the battery's bad. But I drove the car here. I used the jumper. The battery should be fine. It just needs to be recharged. Maybe I have a bad alternator. And then I called you. I was like, it's making a light. And you said that light means it's a bad battery. So I took it in. It's under warranty, so I got it replaced for free.
Did that fix the car?
That fixed the car.
Okay, good.
And so now it's working. When I brought the new battery and I swapped it in and I started it, it did the same thing where it tried to kill itself. But I just kept my foot on the gas to keep it alive. And I drove it around for a little while and then it was okay and it went away.
Yeah.
And that problem went away. And interestingly, it's also been pissing coolant everywhere recently because the coolant's been getting too hot. And so I was trying to figure out what that issue was and I couldn't figure it out. And last week I realized, okay, it's overheating when I drive the car too hard or too slowly. But if I lift off and coast at higher speeds, it kind of chills out. Then it doesn't piss everywhere. So I know that the water pump is working because it's working when I have the key primed. But it's not working, I'm assuming the water pump is working all the time, right? So it's got to be something else. And I told you this on the phone. I'm pretty sure it's my electrical fans not kicking on.
Mm.
And so I've been kind of paying attention to how I drive to try to keep the car in clean air or try to coast from high speeds. And it's been doing okay. Recently, it hasn't pissed water anywhere, which is interesting. It's been okay on its levels. I've been driving it
Maybe it's a
carefully.
bad connection on that fan.
It could be a bad connection. It could be
Yeah.
old fans. It could be kind of a shit relay that's going. I don't know. Grace just texted me.
Yeah, no, you're good. I remember in the Miata, I was out at the compound one time, overheated the car drifting it, and I blew the fan relay,
Mhm.
and it was really intermittent, and
Yeah.
the fans would sort of kick, sort of not kick.
Yeah, I remember that actually.
Yeah.
And so this is a similar issue, but I mean, I drove it to work today and it was okay. And it's weird because with the Camaro, issues never go away.
Mm.
They're forever, like they always come back. So I'm expecting it'll start pissing coolant everywhere at some point, but today it's okay. So
That's
I
good.
have your jump pack in the bag.
okay.
I brought it for you.
Yeah, no worries.
I left one of the clips at home, but I have
That's
everything
fine.
else. My biggest update is that Northrop work has been fucking insane. So the last our last milestone event was in August.
Mhm.
Usually you have a full year to the next milestone. We had until April 24th. So we had way less time than most people do. And so I knew that the first quarter was going to be pretty busy getting ready for this shit. But what I didn't anticipate was that the idea of this milestone is to report where we're at right now. And we want to be 60% complete with our design. It's a
Yeah.
PDR, right? That's the goal. And so what has actually happened is the past like month and a half has been people jumping up my dick asking me for like help editing the slides and like getting shit in the slides and like making the update.
Yeah.
So of the 8 months we have to work, 1.5 of those months is like, okay, snap the chalk line. This is the status we're using. And then that's what I'm going to report in a month and a half. And so we're going over my slides like 2 weeks before the event. And everyone's like, oh, this has changed and this is updated. And I'm like, okay, I can go in and make those updates. But like, while I'm making the updates, the actual work isn't getting done because I'm updating the fucking slides. And like at a certain point, we have to just snap a chalk line and say, this is what we're presenting. On top of all that, there's still updates that everyone's planning on making right after the PDR. And so they want me to show a projection of where all my shit is going to be a week after PDR to show actually we're green on a bunch of shit. And so it was just like a fucking assload of work to get everything like put together. And it was annoying because I was trying to explain to people, I was like, it's like when you take a photo of a star. Like you're not seeing the star in that exact moment because it takes time for light to travel. So really you're seeing the star from a week ago, right?
Yeah.
That's what's happening with it. When I'm presenting my slides, it's info from like 3 weeks ago. And I cannot update it because there's just so much volume of shit. And it's happening so fast, right?
Yeah.
This is the best update I can give you. And if I had it my way, I would have presented my slides as only summary of just here's a statistical summary of where everything is at.
Yeah.
And no one wanted it that way. Everyone wanted me to include the actual like requirements and the actual documents and stuff that are under constant revision in the
Yeah.
slides. And so they wanted me to have 250 fucking slides and go through all of them and read off every individual thing. And it would have been way better if we had just done a summary and then had like a link to the spreadsheet to bring up the real live spreadsheet in real time and had the SMEs in the room, right?
Yeah.
Not only that, but everyone wants me to have all the individual things, right? You can view these things different ways. So I have a legacy systems engineer telling me we should track everything that is TBD or TBR, so to be defined or to be refined, right? Marked as TBR, TBD. Those are important, so we have to check those off. We should also have watch items, which are items that we might not be compliant for, but we haven't decided yet.
Mm-hmm.
It can be TBR, TBD, and yellow, one or the other, whatever, any combination of them, right? So we have yellow watch items and TBRs, TBDs. When I talk to other people, they go, oh, well, if it's a TBR, TBD, it should also be yellow. Because how can you be compliant to a requirement you haven't finished defining yet? And I go, that's a great point. And then I talk to program leadership and they go, well, I don't want a bunch of yellows on here if we're gonna be fixing this and the stuff that we're projected to have fixed the week after
Right.
PDR. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't report that we're green on something today if we're promising to do it tomorrow. I can't do that. I can say that we're yellow today, but we'll go green next week. And they were unhappy with that too. So like everyone wanted it their own given way, right?
Yeah.
And I was not giving it my way. I wanted to just do it my way and make everyone shut up about it, and they wouldn't. So I I just tried to I thought I found a solution that everybody liked.
Yeah.
So I get all that shit done. Now it's Thursday, and it's an off Friday, I think. And so I go in on the off Friday, and or no, maybe it's a Saturday. No, it's an off Friday. I go in on the off Friday because now I have to go in and input. I have to basically grade. There's a checklist, right? Of like, here's 200 different criteria that you have to meet, right? And the customer didn't just want the checklist included in the slide deck. They wanted, oh, if this is relevant. So we've got the checklist of 200 criteria, and then we have a folder of every PowerPoint we're going to be presenting with the combined like 5,000 slides. They're like, okay, go find where this specific one of 200 criteria is satisfied. Go find that one slide in all these different folders and all these different slides, and then go put it on that slide. So I went through and I did all of that in 2 days on Thursday and Friday. I have no fucking idea how I did it. It was ridiculous. I just locked in that day. But I finished it. And I put my hands up and I'm like, okay, I have worked my ass off the past like 3 weeks to get this shit done. I went into double overtime this week to get this shit finished. It's fucking 8:30 at night on an off Friday and I'm done. And so I message my program manager and I tell him, hey, I got this task done. I'll be in on Sunday to talk you through it and like fix anything that you find issues with, but I think we're good to go. He gives me the thumbs up. And so I get home and I eat dinner and I lay down on the couch. And when I get back up again, I feel like a little bit of mucus is in like the top of my throat. And I was like, oh, this feels like I'm about to get sick. I feel physically fine, but there's that little tell. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Because the next day is the Fun Aerospace Expo in Lakeland. I had gone to the Cocoa Beach Air Show the weekend before. They were supposed to have the F-22s and the P-51 Mustangs, but they scrubbed the flights for some reason, so I didn't get to see them. And this air show was huge. They've got a bunch of static displays. They got a bunch of vendors and stuff and a wide range. They have a night air show, which I've never seen before. I really wanted to go. But I knew, I was like, if I get sick, I can't go to this event, right? Like if I get sick tonight, I can't go to this event. But also, I really want to go to this event. So if I wake up in the morning and I feel okay, I'm going to go anyways. And so I go to sleep, I wake up the next morning and I'm like, okay, I feel the same as I did yesterday. There's like a little tickle in my throat. It's like a little sore, but it's not that bad. I think I'm fine. I'm going to drink lots of water. I'm going to wear my hat and sunscreen and stuff. And I'm going to have a chill day and it'll be okay. And so Justin comes over, we pack all our shit, we get in the car, we drive out there. On the drive, I feel fine. I have an Alani and we get there. The air show is fucking sick, dude. Like, we get there. It's enormous. It's so much bigger than the Cocoa Beach Air Show. First off, they've got a T6 Texan out there with a guy. And so I take a picture to send to my brother. Nice. They've got T-38s. And actually, the T-38s they brought were from Vance Air Force Base. Oh, yeah. And there were some instructor pilots there from Vance Air Force Base. And one of them was a fresh vape who just got vaped like a few months ago. And he was like, oh, like, you know, when does your brother go through training? And I was like, oh, he's in T-38 training right now. He was class, whatever the class was, 2608, 2607. And he was like, oh, I might actually be his instructor pilot. And I was like, oh, dude, that'd be cool. Like, you know, like, put in a good word for me. And so that was cool. They had a A-10 Warthog. They had a Super Guppy. They had F-16s, F-35s, F-22s, B-25s, C-17s, KC-130s. Wow. They had air-to-air refueling demonstrations where they had the nozzles out and stuff. They had P-51s flying around. They had an F-22 demo, which I really wanted to see, and I got to see, and it was fucking awesome. They had the Thunderbirds, which I really wanted to see. They had a F-16 Viper demo team at Cocoa Beach Air Show, which was one F-16 ripping around. The Thunderbirds is 6 of them. And the Thunderbirds have a documentary on Netflix that I really enjoy. Yeah. And so it was super cool to get to see them in person. The documentary does not do it justice. It was fucking awesome.
That's cool.
I've got one, they do route where they all go up and they all go different ways and they all come and they cross over Show Center at the exact same time.
Oh, wow.
And I know, because I watched the Netflix documentary and I've seen some of this stuff, that they all cross over Show Center and then a second later, one of them buzzes right over the crowd. And so I knew it was coming. So I film, they all cross and I wait for a second and everyone, you can see in the video, everyone's cameras go down and then it rips right over everyone. It's like a sick video. So we're having a blast.
That's cool.
The Larson Jet Drag team is there. They've got a tent, which is great because there's nowhere to sit. There's no shade. Grace is like overheating and she needs to sit down somewhere. And so we sit down and we're hanging out and I sit down and I'm like, can I have another Alani? And Justin's like, oh, this is the last one I've got. Go ahead and take it. And I was like, wow, man, that's the last one. We packed like 4. He was like, yeah, you've had 3 of them. And I was like, I've had 3? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, man. And so like while we're sitting there taking a break for a second, I'm like, oh, shit, I'm getting sick right now. It's happening. That's what's happening. Is like my energy is crashing and I haven't realized it because I've just been popping energy drinks and I haven't noticed.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, this is bad. I also haven't eaten anything today. I had a fucking McGriddle from McDonald's for breakfast and it's 4 p.m. So we watch the shows, we finish it up and there's a break between the day show and the night show. And so we go get dinner and at dinner, I could feel my throat is starting to get sore and I'm starting to get sick. I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, I don't want to have any more caffeine today because I've already had fucking 600 milligrams. But I really want to see the night show because I've never seen a night air show before. And a lot of these jets are afterburning engine jets and I really want to see them. So we end up going back to the air show. They have the F-22 out at dusk. So it's still light enough in the sky where you can see it, but you can see the full afterburner all the time. It was dude, cool. So cool. It was wicked. And they had a bunch of T6 Texans with like a bunch of like fireworks on their like fucking wingtips, like sparklers and shit. Do a couple demonstrations. It was really cool. They had a lot of cool stuff. And so I'm really glad that I went. Drove home and on the drive home, I was like, oh fuck. Like I'm fading fast. This isn't good. And I'm like, I have 1 day to recover before this all week presentation. Cause this presentation is Monday through Thursday, 9-hour days every day.
Yeah.
And I present 3 separate times. And one of them is like a 200 slide deck fucking presentation.
Yeah.
And so, Grace and I have to run to Walmart to get like a nasal rinse thing that I really like. It helps me a lot when I'm sick. We get home and I'm like, do you remember the time we were baking and I was like, I keep drinking Pepsi and I am just so tired. And then I had like a fucking 104 fever.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Is I got home and I was like, I like put a flannel on. I'm never cold at home. I keep it 71, 70. I'm never cold. And Grace was like, oh shit. And she was like, shower and get in bed right now. And I was like, yeah, I'm on it. I'm fucking exhausted. So like freezing in the hot shower, freezing in bed. I get up to like a 101.9 fever. And I'm like sick. And so the next day we cancel the podcast and I fucking rot in bed all day. I message all my Northrop people and I'm like, hey, great news. I got all the work done last week. Bad news. I can't do anything with that work. I cannot present tomorrow. Like I'm fucking out. Um, so I get a hold of a couple people who find another systems engineer that can breathe for me on the first day. So Monday morning, I wake up, I get a bunch of phone calls from Northrop people, and they're like, "Where's this slide and where's this document and whatever?" And so I'm like trying to give them. You can't speak in classified terms on the unclassified network, so they're like trying to use code words to figure out like to get me to know what they're asking for, and I'm trying to like relay that because a lot of my folder names are classified. So it was just a mess. But I'm feeling a little bit better halfway through Tuesday, and I get a bunch of phone calls Tuesday morning too, and they're like, "Hey, can you come in? This other systems guy presented for you, and everyone's fucking furious about it." And I was like, "Oh, great. Okay, I'll come in." So I come in Tuesday afternoon, and I swing by my coworker's desk, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he was like, "Oh, hey, yeah, customer fucking hated it. It was a big issue. So they want to revise the slides, and then they want you to rebrief them on Thursday." And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm still super sick. I have to fucking revamp 200 slides. What is the deal here?" And so I try to find somebody to like help me out, catch me up to speed. But they're all in the top secret space with the SAP that I'm not cleared for that day, in the second half of the day. So I can't get in touch with anybody who I need. So I'm like, okay, I throw up my hands, I go home. I do as much work as I think they need, and I send it to them, but I still don't really know what the problem is because when I left it, everything was okay. And so I go home. I come back on Wednesday, and it's just nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. Like there's the fires everywhere. Everyone needs to be put shit out. And so I'm trying to figure out what the fucking problem is. And so finally, I sit down with someone who was there at the meeting and knows what's going on. And they were like, "Okay, here's the issue. While this guy was presenting your slides, that he shows the red stuff and everyone grumbles about that, and he shows that we have a path to closure on the red items, which they're not stoked about. They don't want to see red items, but it's whatever. um, there's something that isn't finished that I know was going to be a critical action item and I was okay with. They weren't happy about that either. But the problem is when he started running through everything, the stuff from one light day ago, right, where he's like, this is where we were at, like a few weeks ago, but it's pretty recent. We're gonna have updates. Just bear that in mind as he's going through them. This fucking subject matter expert who's been on the team for a month keeps fucking raising his hand and going, actually, this one on this slide is updated. It shouldn't be yellow. It should be green. This one's gonna go green here. This one's gonna go green here. And so that looks good because it means that the stuff that we're presenting as yellow is actually going to be green, but it looks bad because it looks like we're not doing our job and we're not tracking shit. So now the customer's like, okay, you're showing me that you're not competent in tracking your shit. So how do I know those reds are really red still? How do I know that they're not actually green already? And how do I know that this work that isn't done now and you say is going to be done in a month is actually going to be done in a month? So we want you to go figure your shit out. Like go get your story straight and then come back to us on Thursday. And so I'm like, God damn it. So I talked to that guy and I was like, hey, bud, what's going on? Because you're not briefing any slides. Like, why are you chipping in? And he was like, oh, yeah, well, we had a meeting. You're not involved with any of these slides. He's like, oh, yeah, well, we had a meeting with the supplier last Tuesday. So less than 1 week to when these slides were presented. He's like, yeah, we had a meeting with them and it was really constructive and we got a bunch of stuff fixed. And I was like, awesome. That is past the deadline of where we're incorporating shit into slides. Like, I understand if during your slides you're talking about like, oh, we just had a great meeting with the customer, so actually late breaking news is important. But like you're undermining my slide section, and that's a fucking problem because now I have to go update 200 slides. And so I talked to the chief engineer, and he's like, actually, not only is all this stuff going on, but where are these metrics? And I was like, oh, I track them in this other sheet. And he was like, why weren't those in the presentation? And I was like, I didn't think I needed to include them. And he was like, you needed to include them. And I was like, how the fuck was I supposed to know that? And he was like, someone should have told you during the dry runs. And I was like, I went to 2 dry run events. I presented all these slides twice. No one said shit. You were at one of them. And he was like, I wasn't there for your slides. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, if no one tells me it's supposed to be in there, I don't know what to do. And he was like, okay, here's what we do. Instead of fixing 200 slides in 1 day, let's just put together like 5 slides talking about like clearing up the issues, figure out what's yellow and actually going to go green, fix the issues, then tell them when we're going to submit fixed slides, and then when this thing that is supposed to be done that isn't done, tell them when that's going to be finished. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So we put the slides together. I get in at fucking 6 a.m. on Thursday, still sick, by the way. Then we get in the chief engineer's office and we start running through the slides. And he was like, Mason, you are not going to be presenting these. And I was like, cool, sounds good. So they got an engineer who is more eloquent and more soft-spoken. Not soft-spoken, but like he knows how to not rile people up, and I tend to rile people up. So he was like, this guy, is going to present the slides. And I was like, sounds good. Best of luck to you, dog. And so he presents the slides. The customer's cool with it. Everything's fine. I brief my slides later that day. Everything goes well. And so like we finished the event, and I'm talking to my boss because he was like, oh yeah, all the systems engineers on the customer side are like wigging out. And I was like, I don't know what I did wrong. Like, I don't know. Like if you told me that we're going to run it back and I get a chance to do it again with the cheat codes, I don't know how to fix it because everyone wants something different. And he was like, yeah, I mean, like my people looked at your slides and they thought they were good. I think that the biggest problem here is that there's too many chefs in the kitchen looking at too many different things, right?
Yeah.
Like the way it should be done is that the systems engineering section should just be a summary. You should say, here's where we are today. Here's where we plan to fix everything, right? There should be none of this in between. Like we have an update coming in 1 week, like none of that shit. Really, we should have just had the full 1 year to do this. Like it shouldn't have been rushed. The fact that it is rushed means it's going to be kind of a shit show. And so it's a shit show. But I think you did a good job even with it being a shit show. And I was like, thanks. And so put a bow on it, finished it up. The customer, when they did the review, they were like, this was actually really solid. Like you guys on the whole did a good job. We realize it's really rushed. The whole period of performance is shorter than it needs to be, but you guys did a good job anyways. We have some critical actions that we're going to go work, but I think that we're overall on the right track. So that was all good. And then we ended the week with my functional manager telling me that my promotion went through. So I'm now a level 2 engineer.
Oh, good. Yay.
Yes. And that went into effect on April 18th, which was actually the same day he dropped by my desk and he was like, I'm going to put you in for this. And I was like, sounds good, buddy. I've heard that 25 times. But it actually went through and now it's gone through. So I'm now at 94.6K a year.
Good.
Which is an extra $650 a month, which is a whole car payment and then some for me.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I was just joking about it before the podcast. I was like, they should promote you.
Then they
finally did. Good.
Well, and so all this week I'm in control account manager training because there's every DoD program over like $50 million has this, where the government has standards for how you track the work you say you're going to do and how much money we pay you to do it and when it's going to get done. It's called earned value, right? And essentially the way it works is you say, hey, I'll go build you this bomb. It's going to take me 3 years. It's going to cost me $5 billion and it's going to take all this effort, right? And then as it happens, you say, we're checking these boxes. We're right on schedule or we're not on schedule and it's going to cost more, right? The guys who track that are called CAMs, cost account managers. Our current CAM is not doing a great job. He's actually the manager that got me my promotion. And part of the reason he's not doing a good job is because he doesn't work on the stuff that I work on. So when I'm giving him updates, I'm speaking in my language. I don't speak the CAM language. I'm speaking in my language. And he doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about because he's trying to put it in CAM language. And so my boss was like, fuck all this. Mason, you go get trained and then you do it. And I was like, okay. And that was 6 months ago. I got shot down because I was level 1 engineer and they don't allow level 1 engineers to be cost account managers. Who fucking knew? And so then 2 months ago, my boss was like, fuck it, I'm going to override it and put you in anyways. And so we did. And maybe that was maybe that helped get me my promotion because he was like, hey, he's going to be a manager, a control account manager no matter what. You should probably promote him so you don't look like assholes. But my boss said that he was in the room when my functional manager went to bat for me. And he said that he really did fight for me. So I appreciate that.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, it is good. And then... So at the end of that week, I still didn't feel like super great, but I was starting to get a little better. And so Grace took me to the cheerleading world competition in Disney, which is like it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the whole world level competition. It's the highest level of competitive cheer.
Okay.
Which I had never been to before. I don't spend a ton of time hanging out around high school girls. I try to minimize it, but
It's hard sometimes.
it was really interesting. It was really interesting. It was good to go with someone who knows behind the scenes and everything because she can explain stuff to me.
Yeah.
But it gave me a new appreciation for that type of sport because it's something that is like really underrated and I think not known, generally speaking. And it's something that's seen as like really easy, but it's something really difficult. And when I'm looking at the best teams in the world, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't perfect, and oh, that wasn't perfect, I can realize and appreciate, oh, if these are the best people in the world doing it, and they're still not like absolutely perfect to an untrained.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an athlete, but like an untrained eye, um, then it's really difficult stuff to do. So I have a new level of appreciation for that, and I'm glad she took me.
Cool.
So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Very nice.
What are you smiling about?
Nothing. I think the only time I've ever seen cheerleaders, I think I was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and my buddies and I were like, we would go to some sports event once in a while or sit
Yeah.
in on something or whatever. And there'd be cheerleaders there. I think the approximately the only memories that I recall of it are us laughing about like the token cheerleader that like really wasn't fit to be a cheerleader. You know what I
Dude,
mean?
I went to an academic
And that
high
was
school.
about the only experience that I had.
Dude,
I went to a very liberal school, and so it was like
so
anyone you can imagine to become a cheerleader became a cheerleader. We had guys who were cheerleaders.
dude, we had an
It was
academic high school
interesting.
where there were not athletes. I was in the top fucking 3 athletes of my graduating class, and I'm not like an Olympian, you know. So for the cheer team to go cheer for our lacrosse games and basketball games and shit, it was like, okay, the most attractive girls we have are going to be the cheer. I did not say attractive. The most attractive girls we have
Yeah.
are going to go be cheerleaders.
In
And then-
academic school 7.
Yeah. And then whoever else wants to be on the team. Athleticism not required. And so, you know, that came with a lot of drama and a lot of like fucking politics and shit. And I kept away from it because I was not interested in that in high school. But I always had the idea of like, okay, cheerleading is like a fun thing. Like you do the
Yeah.
flips and shit. But it's mostly just drama. And this event was like a coordinated athletic thing. Like
Yeah.
they do like really difficult like gymnastic routines
Oh yeah.
to compete. And I was like, oh, this is way different. And so I was asking Grace on the drive home, I was like, how, like, I imagine cheer moms are insufferable. And she was like, they are. And I was like, is there a lot of inter-team drama? And she was like, no, the girls are locked in. And I was like, really? Because I expected, like, my cheer girls in high school were like, you know, drama queens.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, school cheer and competitive cheer are very different. I was like, oh. And she was like, yeah, they go to cheer in front of a crowd to get people excited about basketball, right? We go to compete against other cheerleaders to see who can do harder gymnastic stunts. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's very similar to a lot of the sports in high school where
Yeah.
there's like a varsity, like actually competitive outside of school. And then there's the like in school, like, you know, you fuck around.
We had a couple gay guys on the cheer team who we were all pretty sure were just gay to get on the cheer team and hang out with the chicks.
You know what's funny? So there's high school teams there, and then there are some adult teams there, right?
Yeah.
Different like categories, different divisions. And the high school teams, there would consistently be like either no guys or like 1 or 2 guys,
Yeah.
right? Which is what you would expect, right? But the adult ones had like, it was like half guys.
Oh really?
And so I kind of noted to Grace, I was like, you know, I've noticed a lot of the adult ones, or there's like a lot of guys on there. And she was like, yeah, guys figure it out after high school. And then they join the teams. And I was like, oh. But it was an interesting
Yeah.
comparison.
It's funny.
But also she made a good point, which is that for competitive cheer, you kind of peak at like 20.
Yeah.
Like you can't do it past 20 anymore. Like you do not see like a 25 or 28-year-old cheerleader. It just doesn't happen, right? For women. Guys are able to do it because the guys' physical like abilities last for a little bit longer. So when you're doing adult cheer, you have a larger pool because there's more men willing to dedicate the time and energy to do it. There's less females that are able to do it, but also the time dedication is really severe. Like it's really significant. And a lot of women, as you start to get into like the mid-20s, like they want to start families or they have a career and they can't dedicate that time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dudes that do one thing and that's all they do. Like pure autism, locked in on that shit.
Yeah.
And so it gave me a huge appreciation for like that world of athletics, which was really interesting. And then also I learned that the judging is entirely subjective. Like there's
As all good
criteria,
judging is.
dude. There's criteria that they follow, but like there are upstarts and there are complaints and shit. And I was like, that's something that I really appreciate about racing and rowing in particular. Is it's
Yeah.
like, did you cross the line first? That's it.
Yeah.
There's no subjectivity to it. But yeah, it was interesting. I mean, we were there from like 9 a.m. to like 8 p.m. We were there for like 12 hours. So I get home from that every day. I've been sick for 1 week now at this point. This was on Saturday. Every day I have felt like the same or like a little better, right? Today I feel the same, but like a little worse. And I get home and I kind of feel like shit. And so I get in bed and I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm fucking drenched in sweat. This never happens. I'm drenched in sweat. I have a 100-degree fever again. And I'm like, God fucking damn it, dude. What? I
Last night?
Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I sat in a gymnasium. I sat in a chair, right? What the
Yeah.
fuck? For part of it, it was so packed. Dude, this was, okay, this is the coolest part about this event. All the girls in cheer know who the best teams are. All the moms and all the fans know who the best teams are. And so we watched the morning sessions, which were like less popular teams. So we went in, got a seat, watched stuff. I learned the ropes, went and got lunch. When we came back, it was like the best teams. It was fucking packed. There were guards at the bottom of the stairs that would not let you up into the arena to see. So you can hear what was going on in the arena, but you couldn't go in because they had to, there was like, as someone comes out, you let someone in. And so if you got to piss, you lose your seat. But they let us in after like almost an hour of waiting. They let us in. We were literally at the very top of the amphitheater. It sat maybe like 5,000 or 6,000, I'm guessing. We were standing against the wall at the very, very rafters, right? But like when the best teams come out, every team has different music. Every team has a different routine.
Yeah.
Every team has different cheers, like different like shit that they say, right? When the best teams come out, every fucking person in that entire auditorium goes fucking ballistic. And the cool part about this is every time a new team comes out, the first like 5 rows of seating are all taken out. It's just a gap. And they have the families and the friends and the coaches of that team come in from the side. They cheer in the front row and then they rotate out and the next group comes in, which is sick because there's always someone like right there on the stage, like cheering for you. But when the top teams come out, I've never been in an amphitheater that's that fucking electric before. People went fucking insane. Yeah, it was great. I've been to some cool concerts where everyone sings along. This was high stakes, high energy type shit. It was cool. While I was up there, I wake up Sunday morning and I'm like, that was a weird fever last night. I don't feel any better today, but I really don't feel any worse. I'm still just regular sick, but I've got bug bites everywhere. And I'm like, do I have fucking bed bugs? What's the problem? Like literally all across my body, on my legs, on my neck, on my face. There's one here. There's one on my eyebrow, on my head, like on under my hair. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Grace doesn't have any bites. And so I figure, and I have gotten no new bites since then. I think that when we were standing up in the rafters, like a spider or an ant or something like got trapped in my shirt and just fucked me up. And so it's Sunday. I had a fever the night before again. Now I've got bites everywhere and I have to go into a week of cam training. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, like I just want to be fucking better. I just want to be better. So I've been doing cam training this week. And that's been going well. I'm starting to feel better. I'm hoping that like tomorrow or the next day I'm back to normal, but we'll see.
Yeah.
That's my life update.
Ugh. Being sick sucks, dude.
Dude, being sick, yeah, it sucks. Being sick for this long really fucking sucks.
Yeah, I hear you.
What is your business update?
So I did remember one sidetrack story from Blue Origin that just happened yesterday. It was pretty funny. Well, actually 2, I guess.
Okay.
First one, that was quite funny, is I'm in training right now for console training, whatever, and there's this guy who sits next to me. He's like a little bit like autistic. He's like older guy, adult, maybe in his 30s. Sits next to me or whatever, and he's got this crazy life story. He's like, yeah, I got expelled from high school at 16, and then I went to work for a networking company, and like he found like some issue that they had and like solved it with his like little spectrum skills, right? He solved it and they like promoted the shit out of him. And so he rode that out for like 10 years. And then he went to Blue Origin, became a technician for like 6.5 years. And eventually he got his degree and now he's an engineer.
Okay.
And he was just talking to me about his life. And then he was like, yeah, man, like I went to Thailand, and I found myself a wife, and I brought her back here, and now I got a kid. And he was like showing me pictures of his wife and
Mhm.
his kids. I was sitting there, I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is wild, dude. At
Yeah.
Blue Orchard. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, dude, like, shit. I'm like, this guy is like overweight, like kind of a little bit weird, but he's got a US citizenship, right? That's what
Yeah.
counts.
Yep.
Right? And I was thinking, I was like, dude, I know guys at NASA who friggin' struggle to find women because they're a little bit odd, they're a little bit overweight,
Right.
but they got an engineering job and they got a US citizenship.
Yeah.
Why don't you just fucking go to Thailand and get a wife?
Dude.
Dude, he's got this like
Any country.
smoking hot 25-year-old with a kid. And he's like not that like he's
Yeah.
not an attractive dude at all.
Tim does it.
And he's like fuck, dude.
Yeah.
It's like you
Dude,
got
if
some
you go-
disposable income, fucking
dude,
make it happen,
If
bro.
you go to,
It's like, shit.
if you go to most
wild.
countries and you have an American accent,
It's wild.
you're hot shit.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I thought about that. I was like,
Dude,
holy crap.
even if you go to countries that like aren't like como se dice, like you probably don't have the money to travel to America, right? Even
Yeah.
if you go to like Australia or like
Bro,
one
if
of
you
the
got a
European
US
countries.
citizenship and you're looking for someone to marry, like,
Dude, Thailand's a good spot to visit.
dude, that's wild. I mean, I
And
didn't
the
ask him.
Philippines.
Yeah, you got to be careful out there because some of them are dudes that look like chicks.
Yeah, but they're cool about it.
Yeah.
They're open.
Yeah.
They
yeah,
let you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
They let you know.
They'll let you know. Or, I mean, you find out one way or another, I guess, right?
Eventually.
But,
Oh, so wait, you're the
yeah,
wait
but I
till
was like,
marriage
listen to
type?
this. Got him.
But yeah, dude, I mean, like that's, and the thing is, it's not just like oh, they're easy. It's like there's a lot of really good people over there too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just that they have way
was
lower
thinking about that.
standards.
I was
But
like, damn.
consider this, they have way lower standards too, because you're like, oh, kind of like a
Yeah.
fat.
But also, if some
American
other
cyber
guy
nerd.
comes around and you're a level 2 engineer and he's a level 4 engineer,
Well, no,
Right? You know what I mean?
because here's my thing. If you go to Thailand, right, and you're like a kind of pudgy, overweight American, right? What kind of dudes are hanging around Thailand that are your competition, right? Especially if you
true,
work
yeah.
on, dude, if you work at KSC, dude, I remember as a kid, we would travel just like family trips, and my dad would always wear NASA shirts. Every fucking place we'd go to, every diner, every gas station, every museum, every person
yeah.
would stop and ask my dad if he works at NASA, and he would say yes, and they would go, "Oh my God, that's so cool. Tell me more." Every single person. So like, if you go to another country where like your average dude is like just like deadbeat normie guy, and then you meet a guy who is like overweight, but overweight used to be awesome because it meant that you had a lot of money, right? Overweight used to be an attractive
Yeah,
thing
yeah, yeah.
because it meant that you had enough money that you didn't have to
Disposable
work.
income to eat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of cultures are still that way. You
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
it's just
it's
wild.
something that like you
It's
could
super
actually
funny.
look to. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that. I was like, shit, like, friggin' float some ideas to these poor struggling dudes over at NASA.
Boys trip to Thailand.
Yeah,
you go.
voice to talent.
Dude, Anna and Ralph love like that whole culture. They've been multiple times. They really love it over there.
But
Not for girls. I mean, like they actually just enjoy the culture there.
Yeah,
They like
yeah.
the it's like it's a good place to visit, and then also if you make friends there,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. But I had that story. The other story is that friggin' 2 days ago, I was working on the rocket and I friggin' cut the side of my head open and my ear open.
Yeah.
So that was pretty adventurous.
Yeah.
Working on that. So that was a little bit. It actually got reported to the health and safety
It should.
advisory.
Yeah. It's
And
just
so now it's like a whole big deal. Like,
Yeah,
they
it
got
shouldn't happen.
They got paperwork.
dude, they got lucky. If that hit
Yeah.
your eye,
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like,
Yeah.
shit. Well, like if this hit my eye, I would have been fucked, dude.
they would have been fucked.
Oh yeah, because I would have been suing,
Like you would have been fucked, but you would have been wealthy and fucked. But they would have been fucked.
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
SpaceX stock looking better every day.
But anyways, sidetrack story. But my business update is got a bunch of things on here. But
Okay.
to kind of go through them, the guy I bought or most of the Porsche 914 stuff from.
Right.
I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but there's a potential shop space that's opening up
Cool.
next to him. It's single bay, 987 square feet.
Okay.
And he'll let me put a lift in. He'll let me work on it whenever I want. Doesn't care. So 1,000 square feet, $800 a month,
Pretty good.
which is like really not bad.
Yeah.
And
You
so
could probably service cars and make that back.
yeah. And so then the guy who I bought all the 914 stuff from, remember the broken lift in his shed where he was like, the seal's blown out? He was like, if you get this space, I'll give you the lift. Just fix the seal.
Okay.
Yeah. So
It's a
that's
cool
like
deal.
super sweet. On top of that, also someone gave him a sandblasting cabinet, drill press. He has the welder, workbenches, like nice wood and metal workbenches, and a bunch of extra stuff. And he was like, if you want any of this for your shop space, just take it, have it.
It's air conditioned.
No, it's not air conditioned.
Got it.
No, no.
Cool.
But I can move the air conditioner from my garage.
Sure.
You know. So all that, so like a lot of cool opportunity there. And to the kicker is too, is the guy who owns this is like the craziest fucking set of events. The guy who owns the complex with all the shop spaces, he fucking has a 914-6
Oh,
GT
dude, cool.
that he's actively restoring and looking for help on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is like the wildest
Yeah.
fucking who like
Huh.
like they didn't make that many 914-6s.
Right.
They only made like 1,800 of them in the world,
Mhm.
right? Like for the
to
guy
keep
to
meeting
own the
others.
shop space,
Yeah.
to have one there in his storage unit who's like actively looking for help to restore the car. It's like wild coincidence.
When does the space open up?
So he was originally thinking this week, but it's looking like maybe next week or the week after, which is
Got it.
fine by me. I'm not in a rush.
What's the lease term?
I'm not sure yet.
Got it.
I'm not sure. I haven't talked super details with him yet.
Got it.
He just said 800 a month, 987 for square footage. Single bay, but like deep, wide bay, high
Right.
ceilings,
Right.
stuff like that. It's just real shop space.
Yeah.
So if I get that space, my plan would be to move the AC and all of my tools
Mhm.
and all of my parts and all the or at least the cars I want to work on right now
Right.
over there.
Right.
So essentially my garage will become available for the Miata, which it hasn't been
That'd be nice.
available for the last. It became unavailable approximately 3 weeks after I moved in.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to have a garage to put that
It
car
would be
in.
nice.
But it would also be really, really nice to have a shop space so I could actually work because I
Yeah.
can't really work right now.
Well, it's also nice because if you did have to move somewhere, if say the duplex floods and you have to move somewhere, all your mechanic-y shit, all your garage shit is
Yeah.
already somewhere else and it's
Yeah.
protected.
Yeah.
You don't have to
So
go move.
really, really cool. Looking forward to seeing how that pans out.
Yeah.
And I grabbed the paperwork from him as well, all the titles and stuff like that. So I got all of that. I still have a couple questions about some parts, but I'll get to that eventually. And then I also found some 911 stuff in my bins, which I finished organizing, that I have to give back to him. But yeah, a lot of stuff in the bins. I went through all of them. Now I'm finishing up sorting some of the bins. I'm doing like a light inventory with pictures and then also pulling stuff to sell because I never did that initially. So some of the stuff I'm keeping that I've gone through so far, stuff like seatbelts, interior trim, HVAC, like heating and fan blower assemblies for like
Right.
the actual cabin, different body panels, gauges, brake parts, windshield motor assemblies, taillights, headlights, ECUs, and wiring harnesses.
Right.
Took me quite a while to go through the ECUs and the manifold pressure sensors.
Right.
Because actually the ECUs line up to different pressure manifold sensors.
Mhm.
And they're all different part numbered, but the ECUs are only part numbered by a singular sticker on the inside or a sticker on the outside. And if
the sticker's
either of
worn
those
off.
are missing, you can't identify the ECU other than actually getting to the circuit board and testing individual circuits.
Got it.
That's the only way to identify them.
You don't have stickers.
Real headache. I had stickers for 4 out of 6.
It's not bad.
Yeah, actually 3 out of 6, and then one of them I was able to identify because it was a very, very early ECU, and it was clearly not one of the ones I needed. And I was able to identify that one by process of elimination.
Got it.
But it's interesting. They actually used the same ECU for several cars, but then attached different manifold pressure sensors depending on the displacement of the engine. So you can have an ECU for a 1.7 or a 2-liter, and they just get different manifold pressure sensors. So as long as you have that combination, you can run a 1.7-liter or 1.7-liter ECU on a 2-liter with this manifold pressure sensor.
Interesting.
And it was actually early on in the 2-liter, they actually did do that from factory. because Bosch didn't produce the 2-liter specific ECU yet.
Right.
So Porsche was like, whatever, we're just going to run the 170 ECU and put this different manifold pressure sensor on it. Works
Right.
perfectly.
If it works, it works.
Yeah, so I got some interesting stuff like that, going through that stuff, and then figuring out everything that is 1.7 liter or 1.8 liter specific. I have some heads, some rods, pistons. The rods and pistons I don't think are really worth anything. I have some heads that are actually quite nice. I think they're worth about 200, 250 a pop from when I was looking. I have 4 of them.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
$1,000.
And then I also have ECUs, some brake rotors, taillight and headlight motor assemblies, that I just have tons of them, so I'm selling some of them, exhaust components and other miscellaneous stuff
Right.
that I'm going through and selling. So the eBay magazine, the additional one that I sold, that buyer paid like $300 for, he gave me the wrong address, so it's being sent back to me. It was his mistake. He was like, "Oh shit, I gave you the wrong address."
So you gonna pay for shipping?
Yeah, but I haven't received it back yet, and he's
Yeah.
a little bit panicky, so I'm trying to work that situation.
Yeah.
Um,
Has he already paid you?
yeah, yeah, and he not only input the wrong address when he checked out on eBay, he also messaged me the wrong address. Because
What the fuck?
he inputted it wrong twice. He inputted the
That's
wrong
a fuck
street
up
code.
on a fuck up, dude.
Yeah. So it was like, it's like dead nuts. Like, he gave me the wrong address.
Right.
And he was like, "Make sure you send it to this address." The address was wrong.
How do you fuck that up?
I'm
Was
not
it like
sure.
one digit or was it a whole ass address?
It was 1 digit.
Uh,
1 digit. Yeah, it was he messed up the street. It should have been 56th Street. He said 52nd Street.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
Got
I'm a little bit wary because I've had people in e-commerce kind of like float me around like this.
Yeah.
I will resend it once, and then after that, and he'll pay for shipping. And after that point, I'll be like, "You have to go through eBay."
Right.
It's like,
Right.
no. So that was about that. I'm still working on going through the parts. That's something I want to do this week. I plan on starting Monday. Today's Wednesday. Obviously, I was sick, so I was trying to rest. And I got home very, very late Sunday night. I got home at 5 in the morning,
Yeah.
pretty much Monday morning.
Right.
And then slept for a couple hours, went to work. And then I had the longest sleep I've ever had, I think. I slept for 14 hours.
That's crazy.
I slept from 6 p.m. when I got home from work until 8 a.m.
Dude.
which was like
I envy
I
you.
don't know if I've ever slept that long.
I've been trying to sleep more, but when I'm sick, I have the problem of I try to not do anything throughout the day and then like sleep hard at night. But if I don't do anything throughout the day, I don't get tired. So
I'm the
opposite.
opposite. If I don't do anything throughout the day, I'm bored and I will fall asleep like nothing.
Dude,
If I do
fucking
stuff, I get energized and I can't fucking fall asleep.
I have to wear my body out or it just won't turn off.
Hmm.
And then recently I've picked up this cough. I have coughed maybe 3 times during this podcast, right? I will cough on occasion throughout the day, and then when it's time to go to bed, I'll cough every minute.
Nice.
I'm not able to fall asleep.
Hate
So
that.
I have to take NyQuil and melatonin to fucking fall asleep.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been sleeping like shit.
But yeah, that all has been going on and working through. It now gets to the bulk of my, obviously still working on the 914 stuff, going through that and trying to make progress step by step. But the bulk of my update comes in at Road Atlanta. So I went to Road Atlanta with Zots Racing from Wednesday morning. We left Orlando at 5 in the morning. So I woke up at 3 in the morning.
Right.
It's an hour and 15-minute drive there.
Right.
So we left at 5 in the morning and we got to the track at 2 p.m. At that point, we unloaded, stuff like that, whatever. The drive up was fine and dandy. It was cool, whatever. So we got there just to kind of recap the weekend in general. It was a very interesting weekend. There was a lot of cool stuff there.
This was a race, right?
This was a real race weekend with HSR at Road Atlanta.
Right.
So some of the highlights were they had a Judd V10 Formula 1 car there running on track.
That's sick.
It was so cool. It was very cool to see.
That's so sick.
It sounded awesome.
I love jet engines.
On top of that, I know Joel would lose his shit, but they had the Mazda 767B, the Mazda 787, the Mazda RX-7 Group B car, and it was like a Mazda rotary like some like early 767 or like some prototype car,
Uh-huh.
all running on track together.
That's sick, dude.
Dude, sounded crazy.
Do you know what the Lexus GX is?
Maybe if I see it.
I just got a text from Joel today. He saw one
Oh,
of these.
is this rotary?
No. But he just texted me today. It's funny because I haven't talked to him in a while, but he texted me today. He sent me a photo of this that he saw in a parking lot. He said, Ridge Brain G-Wagon move. Like smart person G-Wagon. I thought it was funny.
That is good. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff. They had the Porsche 935 Jägermeister that we saw
Good car.
at the Historics
Nice
in
guys.
Daytona.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of different 911s, bunch of different race prep 914s. Lots of really cool stuff. That weird Le Monster Cadillac was there. So a lot of really cool stuff. Very fun weekend.
Cool.
And yeah, that was really, really cool. Some of the stories that I have from that was
Is this the not cool part?
no, I'll get to that later.
Okay.
But one of the big stories is that the GT4 RS Club Sport that we were running that weekend with a customer driver got first and second in the sprint races.
Dude, hell yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, that was sweet. And then throughout that weekend, I was in charge of stuff like tire changes, fueling, and then nut and bolt check on the car. Mostly worked on the 914-6, ensuring that that car was prepped to go out. I was very happy that that car didn't have any issues.
Cool.
You know, obviously it's a bit of a responsibility to like ensure that like this guy's $250,000 914-6 isn't going to break. And so I was very happy to see that car do well. But here come my stories. So I was walking around the pits, and this was right next to us. There's this guy selling this Alfa Romeo. This like nice, it was like a GT 1600 Alfa, something like that, whatever, old Alfa.
Okay.
And it was a nice car. It was like very classic, just like Italian cruising Alfa, like just like picture, you know, 1960s, what you'd go to the bakery with your girlfriend with.
Cool.
Something like that, right? Nice car. So I was looking at it, whatever, and the guy who owns it comes up, and what I'd find out later was his girlfriend came up next to him, and so I'm like, oh, like, you know, nice car, like, why are you selling it? And his girlfriend pipes up, and she says, because he got a girlfriend.
You don't know this is his girlfriend at this point?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
And I'm like, got it. Like, are you the girlfriend? And she's like, yeah.
Great opening question.
Great
opening question.
I was like, you know, I was like,
I would have been like, oh, that fucking blows, dude.
no, I mean, I didn't say anything, but I sat there and I thought, and I was like, and then I observed them through that weekend. The girlfriend looks just like the boyfriend's mother, like very similar aesthetic.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Tends to happen.
Like shorter hair, blonde, white, you know, like whatever. And like the son resembles the father, and like this and that, and it's like all like rich people niche shit.
Okay.
And it's like I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, I'm glad I'm not cucked into that life. I feel like I wouldn't do well in that kind of environment. Of like because the fucking audacity. Like, I want to have money, but I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
Because it's like
there's different ways to have money.
Audacity for like your girlfriend to pipe up over you about your car and be like, he has to sell it because of me, because I'm expensive. Is like whoa, like, all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's fucking odd to me. Like,
Yeah.
it's disrespectful. Like, at least in my opinion, in my eyes.
Yeah.
Like,
well, he's also a bitch.
if like Sammy had done that, I'd have been like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, we don't even have that relationship.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, I'd have been like, whoa, like, dude.
But also consider this, right? Like, he is bitch enough to have to actually do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know,
and that might not even be the case, but the fact that she like proposed that as the reason,
right?
Like,
right?
Fucking really?
I mean, the thing is, like, you don't just say that like cracking jokes. Like, if you're saying that and it's like everyone isn't laughing, right? Then it's like, oh, there's probably some seriousness there, right? And it's either she doesn't like the car or she's too expensive and he needs to sell it so that he can afford to have her or whatever. But it's also like,
whatever. Anyways, that was one of my funny stories.
Yeah.
But so the premise of this weekend was I was track support with 4 other guys. One of them was a weekend guy, kind of like me, but he does this professionally and has for years.
Yeah.
And then 3 other guys who are full-time at the shop. One of them's newer, and then the other 2 have been there for a little while.
Yeah.
But they're all kind of like in sync with this. I'm the newest of the bunch.
Got it.
Right? And so kind of the premise of this weekend is like they're supposed to be guiding me through stuff, and then the owner is kind of like interacting with the customers, doing some coaching and stuff like that. Whatever. And so before this event, I was told like the owner's a real hard ass, like really tough to get along with, like can be super rude. Like the picture I had painted for me of this guy was like he's gonna be real rough and tough.
You've met him before, though.
I'd met him once
I've met him.
before. Yeah. I'd met him before, but I had a short interaction with him. He didn't quite seem like that, but I also wasn't working for him at the time, and of course that's gonna be a different dynamic.
Did you call him the nickname I have for him?
No.
Okay.
So I rode up in his truck with him. And the ride up, he was relatively nice. You know, he's an older dude. You know, he's has his ways. He's
I bet you guys get along great.
I had no problem with him.
You're an older dude.
The whole weekend I had no issue with him.
You're a 75-year-old man stuck in a 25-year-old body.
Yeah, I had no problem with him at all. This was like day 2 or something. I was trying to start up this 914. And one of the other guys was like kind of talking me through it. And he runs over with the older guy and he's yelling. Like he's pissed. I'm in the car. He's pissed. And he starts yelling at me. And like after I like put my hands up and like, no, like you're good. Like what do you want me to do? Like it's cool, right? And so then he like 15 seconds later he like starts to calm down. And like then he's like normal. Like it's cool.
What was he angry about?
He was angry because I didn't want to do this. This is what actually was so ironic about the situation, was the guy who was helping me start it was having me do these long extended cranks without the fuel pump running to try and get the vacuum to pull fuel into the carburetors, which like seemed kind of odd to me. It's like, why wouldn't you run the fuel pump, fill up the float bowls, right? Because that's how the float bowls fill in a carburetor.
Right.
And then, and then it will pull, right? And then it will pull, whatever. And he had me doing these long extended cranks, and the owner ran over and he's like, dude, you're having him like he was yelling at me actually at this time. He was like, you're cranking this fucking car, you're heating up the battery, you're heating up the starter, it's $75,000 motor, you don't know what like he's yelling at me. He's pissed, right? And I'm like, dude, like I get it, like I don't feel comfortable in here, just walk me through what you want me to do. Like I'm cool.
Right. You're doing what you're told at this point.
I'm doing what I'm told at this point. I didn't want to do that. The way I was taught by Tom at Autobahn was short cranks, and if it doesn't start, wait a few seconds and then just crank again. And crank and do that, rinse and repeat until it starts. Don't sit there and crank it. That's how I was taught. That's how I like to start those cars. You know, it was really funny because when he ran over, he was like, turn the fuel pump on. I was like, that makes fucking sense.
Yeah.
I was like, right. And he was like, okay, now do a short crank. And if it does start, no worries. And I did a short crank and he's like, okay, touch the throttle pedal once, down and up. And I was like, okay. And cranked it again. And it almost started, didn't do it. And did that a couple more times, the car started, no problem. I was like, this is how I would assume you start one of these cars.
So who was the guy giving you instructions?
One of the guys who'd been there for a while.
And he didn't know how to do it right?
Yeah, but it was interesting because I had a conversation with Ron. The owner. Well, it's publicly available. Ron, good guy. But I had a conversation with him later, and I was like, hey, like, he asked me. He was like, do you know why you did the short cranks? And I told him what I just said, and he was like, do you know? And I was like, why did one of the other guys have me leave the fuel pump off? And Ron was like, I don't know. And then Ron was like, well, why did he tell you to leave the fuel pump off? And it was like, well, he told me that if I left it off, that the fuel would pull in through the jets on the vacuum pump. And he's like, no, that's not right. He's like, the float bowls take care of that. And I was like, oh yeah, right. And so then it was really interesting. One of the other things was like, when you start, I was told that initially when you're cranking, you're also watching for oil pressure. Right. And so then I asked, I was like, or he actually asked me, he was like, why do you crank first before you actually turn ignition on? That was one of the other things. And I was like, well, I was told you crank for oil pressure. And he's like, no, you don't crank for oil pressure. He was like, these cars have a dry sump. When the tank is high up, when the car sits, all the oil from that tank drains down to the crankies, and the crank is full of oil.
Right.
And what you're trying to do is get the oil out of that crankcase back into the dry sump system so it flows. So you don't start this car with 10 quarts of oil in the bottom of this crankcase.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So that was something new I learned too. And like we had a couple interactions like that and whatever.
Right.
And so I ended up going to dinner. It was a funny situation. I was in his truck and the other guys had piled in the other truck because they don't like interacting with him. And so they piled in the other truck. I was sitting with Ron in his truck and we were all going to dinner after this day. And like the previous day I'd asked him too. I was like, hey Ron, like, you know, like I know I'm new here, like what could I do better? You know, it was like the first thing I asked him. And he laughed at me. He was like, everything. And I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. Right. Well, like he isn't a jerk. Right. Like he's just an older guy. He's like in his ways, like, you know, he's a little bit abrasive sometimes, but like it doesn't bother me because when he is abrasive, he's teaching me something.
Because you're friends with
It's
me.
not just like bullshit abrasive
people. Yeah.
But it's not just like bullshit abrasiveness to be abrasive.
Right.
It's value, like there is value within it if you look for it. And so anyways, we were going to dinner and the other 4 guys, they all went to Moe's. It was actually a really funny situation. And Ron friggin' hates Moe's. And so we pulled up to dinner and Ron is driving by the Moe's where they're already parked. And he's pulling up and he's like, I don't like Moe's. And he was like, do you like Moe's? He's like a real old school guy. He had Fox News business on for 9 hours of the drive. Like he's old school, man.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you like Moe's? And I was like, I'm not really like.
You're like, not today. We go where you want to go.
I'm a huge fan of Moe's. And he's like, And then he drives by the Moe's, dude, around the corner. And he said, well, since you're on my truck, you want Longhorn or Outback? So we fucking went to Outback, dude. So, but it was funny. He taught me a little bit more. I asked him about like jetting on the 914s and like what he changes and like, do you ever change spark plugs and stuff like that? And he's like, no, never change spark plug temperature on the 914s. We only we change main jetting, and then if we need to make tweaks from there, we do air correction jets. So like, I got valuable info out of that and a few other things. It was interesting. He told me some stories about IMSA from the 60s into the 70s. And I'll kind of do a brief, kind of fun little synopsis of it. But the reason in 1970 you saw all the cool liveries come out, like the Sunoco livery and the Jägermeister livery and the Marlowe liveries and the and then future like the Martini liveries and all these cool liveries, was because in 1970 the laws around endurance championship racing changed. Before 1970, it used to be a Porsche team would have Porsche drivers with a Porsche team with Porsche engineers, and it was all German. They were all German folk. And then the Ferrari team would have all Italian guys who were the Italian engineers, the Italian drivers, the Italian, pit crew, whatever. In 1970, that changed. Those rules changed. And so you started to intermix, and then sponsors started to come in. That's why you got all the cool liveries in 1970, which I didn't know, which was kind of interesting. Another interesting tidbit too is there was a series, you probably heard of it, Can-Am, where they had crazy, crazy cars. It was essentially a series where it said anything goes, Canada versus America, let's race. And so before 1971, it was pretty much just like shops would get involved. No real manufacturers got involved. McLaren was dominating it. They were like the only kind of manufacturer backed. Porsche came in.
Just funny, they aren't Canadian or Mexican.
Yeah, which is kind of, I think it was McLaren if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, well, Porsche came in and they said, hey, we want to have a little part in this too. And so they built that famous flat 12 Can-Am car. I think it was Sunoco livery.
The blue and yellow?
Yeah, I believe that was the car. It was either Sunoco or Golf. I'd have to look it up to double check. But anyways, they built this flat 12 Can-Am car with twin turbos on it that absolutely slaughtered the competition. The series is basically done once Porsche got involved. But on top of that, just in case they needed it, Porsche built a 16-cylinder version of that car, which they actually built and tested. It was a real car, just in case someone else came in and tried to take their spot.
It's the F-22.
Which is fucking crazy.
It's the F-22. The 12 cylinders, the F-15, and then everyone was like, oh God, what have we done? And they're like, well, fuck, we've got the 16-cylinder ready to go. I don't know.
So that was really cool. So I got a lot of cool stuff out of that. But overall, the weekend was largely not fun. And it was actually largely to do with the crew I had to interact with, which was really like odd to me. And so I'd been at the auto shop and I was like used to like teasing and nitpicking and like fun games and name calling or whatever. The what I would consider, at least this weekend, was very different from the previous weekend I had. This weekend was just like blatant, rude, distasteful, and disrespectful. Just like blatant. Like, for example, I was wiping down the cars, and the previous weekend, one of the guys who was at the shop consistently was like, "Hey, like you're using too many rags. Just use one rag." And he like showed me this technique, whatever, right? And I was like, "Okay, like I don't really care that much. I'll use one rag if it makes you feel better." And so I was wiping down the cars, and then this weekend I was doing the same thing because I was like, "Okay, I'll learn from this. This is how they like it done. This is how I'll do it. I don't really think this is a good job, but like, whatever." And so I get over there, and then the same guy is like, "You're missing all these spots." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I mean,
You told me to use one rag,
to
yeah.
use one rag and like one spray across this panel, blah blah blah." And the other guys are there, and they start chiming in. They're like, "Dude, you're like missing this spot and this spot and this spot." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
It's what you
And
told
then,
me to do.
and then at that point, I'm like, "I'm missing all these spots because this is how you told me to do it in Sebring." And he's like, "No, I never said that." And then they like continue to make fun of me and make fun of me and make fun of me after I already get more rags and get more cleaner and start cleaning the car again the way that I want to do it, like again and again and again and again. And it was like super rude. And there was like many instances throughout the weekend where it was like I wouldn't know how to do something,
Right.
or I would want guidance on something. For example, someone would ask me to strap the cars. One guy would come in and say, "Strap the cars directly from the corner tents down to the wheels to hold the tents down." That's how we do it when the car is sitting.
Right.
And then another guy 5 minutes later would come in and go, "No, go crossways." So I fucking redo it and go crossways. Like, okay, it's like slightly irritating, but whatever. Then in the morning, I would go to pull a car cover off. It's damp because it's in the morning. My plan was to lay out in the sun and
Let it
get the
dry
car
out.
cover on from the track because we got fans walking through. We got people taking pictures. We want the cars to look presentable, not with a fucking silver bag over them.
Right.
Right? So I was like, okay, I'll take the car covers and lay them out in the sun. I started taking the car covers off. One of the guys comes over and says, "Don't take that car cover off." Not fucking 3 minutes later, one of the other guys comes over and takes that car cover off and lays it in the sun.
Huh.
And I'm like, it's like this little shit is just constant. And
Yeah.
it's like at a certain point, I'm like, what's even my value here? It's like I'm just listening to other people tell me shit, and then everyone's telling me something different. It's
Right.
real fucking annoying at a certain point.
Right.
After like living with these people in a hotel, it gets real fucking annoying.
Yeah.
And so like,
Everyone has their own way of doing things, and no one really has enough
yeah,
superiority
and then
to
like
call
they
rank.
just have a different way of interacting with each other. Like when they have conflicts, they'll just start insulting each other. And it's like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't do that.
Do you ever,
Like I
do you ever-
don't come up to someone else who's doing something and go like, "Oh, you're fucking dumb," and then you hang that over their head for the rest of their day. Because I just don't do that. I'm not that kind of person.
Have you ever stopped to appreciate that you surround yourself with people who voluntarily take time out of their week to sit down and record a podcast about personal growth to become a better person? Because 99.5% of the entire population does not give a single shit. They don't think about any of it. And I actually had this thought while you were telling your dinner story, because I was like, I bet those guys don't like talking to Ron because they're fucking retarded frat guys who couldn't get a job as a real engineer, so they're a fucking tech at a racetrack. And like not like you by choice, for you do it because you're passionate, but they couldn't cut it anywhere else, and so that's where they wound up. And they want to fuck off and talk shit about the boss, who's actually there because he cares about motorsport and he's there to put in real effort, right? And so they don't want to be around him because they want to be fuck offs.
Yeah, and it's like it was, and it was like it was really off-putting to me because I don't like enjoy making fun of other people for stupid semantic shit.
Yeah.
And like I don't really enjoy making fun of people in general unless it's something like in a group and it's genuinely fucking stupid and funny.
Yeah.
Like then we can like communally be like, that was retarded.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but that's like very different in my perspective.
If you're friends or you're like building a bond and you like tease each other or whatever, and you use it to like,
Like
grow.
nicknames or like whatever, like fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like at a certain point, it's like, okay, bro, like chill.
Right. Well, and it shouldn't be said like with real intent, like with real malice.
Yeah,
Right?
which I don't think it was,
Mm-hmm.
but the consistency and the level of rudeness and disrespect that was through it constantly made me feel as though like it put me in a position where I was so not used to it that I couldn't see it any other way, or I had a really hard time seeing it another way.
Right.
Because it was just like so far off of how I interact and like like, convey myself.
Yeah.
And so another incident happened was we had this really old guy who races this 914. 911. He's raced forever. It's this older 911, the third car we had. We had the GT4, the 914, and this 911. And it's really hard to back him in because he doesn't turn the wheel enough and he doesn't listen to directions.
Got it.
And so I was trying to back him in, and I was actively, like, he wasn't positioned right. He didn't pull up well. It partially was, I was trying to get him positioned in a spot that I thought would be good. And then as soon as I got him there, the way that he turned across me, I realized that it was going to be a really bad angle.
Well, yeah, with the way he was
So
doing
I
it.
was trying to correct him backing up, but I had to stop him and have him pull forward again. So I was telling him to stop. This is like universal stop.
Yep.
And so I'm yelling at him through the window to stop. He rolls back another 5 feet into a jack stand, which scratches the rear bumper. Right? And so I'm like, this is like so dumb. And so I pull him back out. We get him centered. It's fine. Right? And so this situation was coming off the heels of another problem I'd had. So earlier that day, I talked with one of the guys there, and I was like, dude, like, I'm having this was one of the weekend guys. I was like, he's been around it forever. I was like, I'm having some trouble kind of like fitting in with the team. Like, I just kind of feel like I'm being poked around and pushed around. And like, like I told him the same stories that I just told you. And he's like, dude, like, if you feel like someone has a problem with you or there's like any issue with the team, like, you should bring it up. Like, that's important that we all work together as a team. So I was like, okay, cool. So like, out of my honesty, I came up to one of the guys who was acting really weird to me that day. Like, that whole morning, it was like 2 hours. He was just acting weird. So I came up to him, and from an honest place, I was like, hey man, like, do you have a problem with me? And he was only doing it to me. And he was like, is that a serious question? I was like, yeah. I was like, do you have a problem with me? And he's like, no, dude. And then he went and told the entire other rest of the team, which is like one thing, whatever, kind of childish, but okay. It was a private conversation I had with him.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, one of the other guys who works consistently at the shop, obviously was in this conversation after the fact, would come up to the guy that I asked, hey, do you have a problem with me? He would come up to him while I was working next to him on something else and go, hey, do you have a problem with me? And then they both laugh. And then it happened again and again and again and again, like, not shitting over a dozen times that day.
Yeah.
And like, at a certain point,
They're high
I'm like,
schoolers.
yeah. And like, at a certain point, I'm like, fuck you. It's like, honestly, dude, like it's so childish.
Yeah.
Is to play this bullshit.
He thinks he's being funny.
Yeah. He just thinks he's being funny.
Right.
And so then after that, this jack stand incident happens. And the driver gives me a 30-minute talk about like how I have to make sure that stuff's not in the way when he's backing up. And what I want to realize, whatever, I'll let it go. Whatever. Just
Listen, man, listen. I can't see or hear real well, and I don't listen. So just make sure there's nothing around me that I can hit.
Yeah. So whatever, that happened. And then the guy who was poking at me, who is making fun of my personal conversation with this other guy, he came up to me. He's like, dude, like, are you gonna be okay? Like, like, it's gonna be all right. Like, and I'm like, I like laugh. I'm like, I'm gonna be just fine, thanks.
Yeah.
And it's like the fucking audacity to pick at me the whole fucking day.
Yeah.
And then come up to me like you fucking care.
Yeah. No, he's being a shit.
I'm like, and so at the end of the weekend, on Sunday, I talked to one of the guys who had been the only, like, he'd been very consistently nice to me, one of the shop guys. Just like, doesn't really pick at me. He's just consistently nice.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, dude, like, I told him some of this shit. And I was like, dude, like, I don't need to be here for the money. It's like, the entire week that I am here, I make the same amount in a day and a half at Blue Origin.
Yeah.
I do not need to be here. And so if I don't learn and I don't enjoy my time,
then I leave.
Then there is no reason for me to be here.
Right.
And it's like, if I can't check one of those two things, then there's no reason for me to be here, because it's like a 50% wash. And if it's like, if I'm just looking for learning, I'll just work with Ron and maybe go to the shops after hours or something like that. Or find another team where I could be like, hey, I'll work for you for free if you just teach me about the shit. Because I honestly don't fucking care.
Right.
It's $100 a day. I'm working 12 to 16-hour days. It's like, this doesn't math, right? It's just for the learning. And so it's like, if I can't check those boxes, it's like, there's no point for me to be here.
Right.
So I don't know if they'll call me back. The owner, Ron, really liked me.
Right.
And he seemed like he wanted me to come back, and he genuinely pleased with having me there.
Right.
The shop guys, like this childish game shit. Like and something I realized this week is that like I really don't put up with that stuff very well.
Is there someone in charge of the shop guys? Like, of the shop guys, is there a leader?
I mean, technically it's the owner, the manager, but like from what I've gathered, like it's kind of like the shop guys are in charge of themselves.
Yeah, I feel like there should be like a single voice of like setting the standard of how things are done.
Yeah.
And so I kind of feel like,
After like years, you would think that would be the case, right? Like,
I mean, that's how I would run a team.
Right,
Is
of
there has to be a central voice of leadership that you listen to. Like, it should be Ron, the owner, and then there should be someone who actually manages so that Ron doesn't have to deal with like the fucking retard high schoolers, right?
yeah.
And so there should be like
like
a
the-
shop head or something like that people listen to.
And what sucks is like I think they're genuinely good people. They just have like a very from my
immature.
perspective, a very immature and childish approach to how they convey themselves on track.
Yeah.
Or just to other people. And I just don't put up with it well because that's not how I convey myself to other people.
Yeah.
And that's not how I present myself. And I was talking with one of the guys, and he was almost trying to convince me that like this kind of like loosey goosey kind of like making fun of way is like a better way to live. And I was like, dude, like I had to kind of tell him in a way that like at least in my mind wasn't like abrupt or rude because that's not how I work. But I kind of had to tell him, I was like, I don't really want to be like that.
It's a low IQ move, honestly. Like I've been a part of teams where guys like get along by razzing each other, right? But it's not. I mean, I feel like I grew out of that really quickly, and it's one of the reasons that when I was in high school, I became friends with the juniors and I was in 7th grade, and I was friends with the juniors and seniors in the drama program.
Yeah.
Because as a 7th grader, the only way to hang out with people older than you is to join a club. So I
Yeah.
joined drama because I wanted to be an actor. And I got along really well with the juniors and seniors. And when they graduated at the end of the year, I was like, who the fuck am I going to be friends with? Because
Yeah.
everyone in 8th grade is a fucking 8th grader. And like,
Yeah.
I'm not on that wavelength, dude.
No, it was like it was really shocking to me because at the auto shop I'd gotten used to like the joking name call. It didn't
But
bother
it's
me at all.
different. It's different with Tom and
Dude,
what's
It's
his
Alex
name?
and Travis.
Travis.
When Travis was
It's
there.
different with that because they're intellectuals.
Yes. Right.
Right.
And so like it was like to me it was very shocking. And
Yeah.
from my culture and background, like I told one of the other weekend guy that had told me to like come up to someone if I have any issues with them. I told him, I was like, dude, like if I interacted the way that like you guys interact with each other, like in front of my mother, like I would get a fucking ass whooping for a singular thing that you did.
Yeah.
It's like this is just not how.
You should ask them what their real job is.
And his response was like, well, like you don't have to like feel that weight of your mother over you. And it's like, no, you're not getting the point. It's like I value that.
Right.
I value not being a shit.
Yeah, well,
It's
it
like-
doesn't give me enjoyment. It doesn't give me enjoyment to
like,
tear
I
someone else
want to-
down.
Right. It's
Right.
like I want to be courteous and polite and professional.
Right.
And it's like it's really ironic to me because I make the least money out of all of the guys there, and I'm like the only person who's like,
You make the
Let's
least money
be-
while you're there.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's get it straight. You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
ask
yeah,
them
yeah.
what their 9 to 5 is
Right.
anytime. Like
I
that
know.
option's
But
available.
at that event, I'm making the least out of all of them. Yet I try to be the most professional out of
Right.
all of them,
Right.
which is like ironic
Right.
to me, and at least in my eyes. So like I don't know what they'll do. Or
Well,
what
no.
they'll do.
It's not ironic because consider this. Like, where did they go on Monday?
Yeah, you're right.
Right? Like, that's their whole thing. Their whole job, the most value that they contribute in the world is to that racing team.
Mhm.
And it's something that you're doing on the weekend for fun. I'm assuming they know that you work at Blue Origin.
Mm-hmm.
They probably have a chip on their shoulder right off the bat because you're doing their job for fun.
Yeah.
A. B.
Well, that was part of the thing they made fun of me for was like, oh, big engineer coming in, and like
Right,
at a certain-
exactly.
like day 1, it's funny.
Right.
Day 4, it's like this is just fucking annoying.
I agree with you.
It's just annoying.
One of the things that I value about you and is a reason that I'm a friend with you is because you're a very open, authentic person.
I fucking try.
Outwardly, right? Well, and you try your best to improve the situation,
Mhm.
right? So like when we met in Fluids Lab, I told Grace the story of me almost getting expelled in our senior year, and as a part of that, I told the Fluids Lab and the heat transfer lab stories. But part of the reason that we became friends is because we could fuck around and joke about shit in Fluids Lab. But then when we were actually doing the lab, you're like, okay, let's lock in and figure out how to actually make this shit work because our lab report has to be good to pass, right?
Of course.
And so it's like, you know when to joke around and then when to actually focus on something. But the joking around isn't teasing, it's finding a shared perspective to see something from,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which is my preference because I don't like looking for flaws in other people and pointing it out in them and finding that funny because if we're on the same team, dude, how good you are is directly reflected on me.
Yeah.
And so I need you to be good because that reflects on me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was really funny to me because like this all like I think they just really they have this completely different mindset, like
Yeah.
you've said, right? And it was interesting to me though, because Ron brought up two things over the weekend, which I was like, ah, shit. One of the things was the 9-4. I wasn't out at the pit for either of these incidents. I was at the tents doing tent prep, but the 914 was on track, and two of the guys wanted to go do track support for the 914. At that point, I was already irritated. It was like day 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know, whatever, like I'll hang out here. I'll get my own little space and like take a little breather.
Right.
I didn't say that, but I was like, yeah, go full. Sure. Right. They get out there. It's a yellow or a red flag. And so it's a black flag. Sorry, black flag. Everyone comes in, and the 914 guy doesn't want to lose his spot in the line, so he doesn't pull into the individual pit that he has. He stays in line.
Right.
Right. But traditionally, what you would think is when someone pulls in after a few laps, and the session is going to restart shortly, and they're in the front of the line, you go and you run over to them and
The shit where they stop.
You do the shit where they stop, like tire pressures.
Yep.
Right. And so to me, like that's like you know, I want to do those things because as soon as I see a car like that's in the pit
Right.
that would need or could have some attention that could benefit his race, I'm like, yeah, let's go run over and do that, or like
Right.
let's go make this happen, right? I wasn't there for this,
Right.
but Ron brought us all together after this incident, and he was like, "Why did you two guys, the other two guys, not go over to him when he was in line to check his tire pressures?" It's like, this is like simple.
Mhm.
It's like anytime you have a car that comes in off of a session in the middle of a session that's going to restart, you run it over to that car and you do your proper checks.
Yep.
It's like, he's like, this is simple stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is intuitive. Right.
Mhm.
The other thing too was I didn't realize this because I didn't do any work on the GT4 RS car. None. That I didn't touch. All my effort was on prep for the 914 and some prep for the 911. I barely went out on track at all.
Right.
The only time I went out on track is to watch the sprint race for the GT4, and then I went to watch one session of the 914 at some point that week. But I was mostly in the pits doing prep work and doing my things there. In the pits, as in like in our actual tents, not the pits on the track side.
Right.
So the GT4 RS went out for this endurance race, and he didn't. When he goes out, we bring out spare tires just in case he gets flat. We can throw on spares. Right. He had 2 sets of spares. Right. I wasn't aware of this at this point, but he had 1 set of spares that were old and 1 set of spares that were new. I knew that he had old and new spares, but I didn't know what they were bringing out on track. Apparently, they brought out the old spare tires for him in case he got flat. And the driver noticed after the race, and he asked Ron. He said, "Hey, why did they bring out these old spares in case I got in a flat?" And Ron's a smart guy. He didn't say shit. And he knew who was responsible for it. And so we were sitting in the truck on the way home. I was in the back seat. The other guy who was involved with this case was up front, and Ron was driving. And we're sitting, it's like 4 hours into this drive. And he was like, "Hey, like I just had a quick question for you. Why did you guys bring out the old spares for the endurance race?" And I was like, nice, shit. There you go.
And he was dead silent?
Dead silent.
Yeah.
And he was like, because you guys may have not noticed, but the customer did.
Yeah.
And if we want to keep the customer and we want to keep him happy, then we have to be on our game. And I was like, fucking facts. And it was like that little moment of like, what was really interesting to me is like, I could tell that those incidents upset the other guys much more. Like they were like, you could feel them just kind of like compressing and get uncomfortable.
Yeah. Where they sucked up.
Right. But to me, in comparison, when Ron came over in front of the customers and all the other guys and was screaming at me through the window, I was like, thank God you're here because I don't know what I'm fucking doing right now. Right. Like very different of like, help me. Like I want to be better versus like don't catch me doing this kind of like half-ass shit,
Right.
right? Like very different perspectives,
Right.
right? And so that just knowing that someone on the team like has their like head straight in respect for some of this stuff, like gave me a little bit of like breathing room.
Well, and it being
I'm
the
like, okay, I'm
ownership
not
too.
the only one who's like trying to make this fucking professional.
Right. Well, and being the owner is helpful too. But
Yeah.
something that I'm picking up on is that these guys, like, they probably have a culture of being like fuckheads, right? That's probably just who they are and their culture. But if someone who has more than them in regard of the Blue Origin job, comes in and then they're asking you humbly to teach them a job, they know that you will surpass them at some point because you've already shown that you're more capable in other capacities of life. You already
Yeah.
have more than them elsewhere, so you're going to get better than them at some point here. But this is their opportunity to make you feel smaller so that you look up to them
Yeah.
and that you listen to them. And
You're
so
right.
they're going to teach you wrong and then they're going to razz you about it and then they're just going to try to keep you from, like, surpassing them, right?
And
it doesn't
you're right.
it doesn't help that you get along with their boss and that you're there to learn and there to actually do
Yes.
better. They're probably not going to improve.
Yeah. And the hard thing is that I'm not willing to not get along with the boss to get their favor because I want the boss to like me because he knows the fucking 914s and I want to learn about that
Well,
stuff.
yeah, and if your boss is able to put you in a position where, you know, you're respected or the other people have to listen to you,
Right.
then, like, if there was a single voice, a single manager on like a radio or an intercom or something who's managing this shit, like, Ron doesn't even have to know about the spare tire issue because as soon as you see them rolling it away from the tent, you can stop them and have them go switch it out.
Yeah.
And it's not an issue because you catch it.
Yeah.
But right now there is no central manager doing that. It's just a bunch of guys who,
Yeah, just telling
Fuck
different
around.
things, different things all the time.
yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, you're right. I approach people so like I never like at least like I don't think ever like at least in my memory have approached someone who had like a higher or lower status in some area, whether it was 9 to 5, whether it was money, whether it was a car, and been like, I'm going to attribute different things to I'm going to interact with you differently to make you feel bad because of this other stuff that you have or don't have that
Yeah.
I have or don't have.
Yeah.
Like I don't approach people that way.
It's a
And so
low
it was,
IQ
like,
insecurity.
It was very jarring to me to experience a flavor of that. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just like a person. Like I want to.
Right.
If I didn't want to fucking be here, like why would I be here right now?
Yeah.
It's like it was so obvious to me in my mind of like I'm here to be here with y'all. Like why are you so hard on me?
Right.
Right? It was very jarring to me. So overall, I didn't really enjoy that aspect of the weekend. Although I did enjoy the value I got from chatting with Ron
Right.
and the stuff that I learned from him. And it was reassuring, like some of the small stuff that, like for example, receipts I know are really important for business expenses.
Mhm.
It's just like intuitive for both of us.
Yep.
And so I was in charge of doing all of the fueling, to getting the fuel jugs and making sure that we had enough fuel for a sprint race, endurance, qualifying, whatever, right? Just enough fuel at our actual tent area so that we had fuel.
Right.
And so I would go every morning and I would go get the number of jugs that we needed for that day and then bring them back.
Right.
The credit cards, the way that the fueling station at Road Atlanta was doing it, the credit cards were put on file at the start of the weekend. And then I would give them back to the customer and they would hold them on file. And as the weekend progressed, what they told me was, hey, we don't do individual receipts. We do one receipt at the end of the weekend on Sunday. And at the first fuel stop I went to, I said, that's not going to work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I need individual receipts every single time I come up here for fuel. And they said, well, we don't do individual receipts because we charge at the end of the week.
Right.
And I was like, can you write me a hand receipt?
There you go.
And they're like, yes, we can. And so I had them hand fucking write me hand receipts every time I went up there. And some of them didn't even know how to do it. I was like guiding them through this, right? But I was like, I need these receipts.
Right.
Because I need to know exactly what I've gotten for every car. And I need to be, and in my mind, I was like, I need to be able to give this back to the customer. If
Right.
there's an error there, it needs to be traceable. I need to give this back to the owner as well so that he has record of it for
Right.
his customers. I was like, I need these. And so Ron came up to me at the end of on Sunday. He hadn't asked me for any receipt. He hadn't told me anything about fueling that whole weekend. I was just in charge of it, right? To go get fuel. That was the only instruction I got. And so at the end of the weekend, he was like, all right, let's talk receipts. And like, if I hadn't been done this, I would have fucking caught with my pants and been like, oh, I don't have receipts.
Right.
And I was like, okay,
I've got
no
one
worries.
from the end of the weekend. Here's the fuel receipt.
Oh, mind you, they left at 10:30 in the morning on Sunday. So even if you wanted to get them, if you didn't get there before 10:30, you would have never gotten your receipt.
Right.
So I was like, I have all individual receipts. And I pulled them all out. And I was like, here's this car, and here's this car. And I was like, okay, cool. And he started looking at them. And he was like, okay, like this is the guy who owns the 911, these are his receipts. And I was like, yes. And he's like, is this all of them? And I was like, yes. Every single time I went up, I had them write me a hand receipt. I made sure that they did. I made sure that it was accurate. They actually made a mistake on a calculation. I caught them on it. And I said, you're overcharging me $75.
Oh, nice.
And so I was fucking on them. I was like, make these accurate. And I was like, I know these are accurate. I know this is all of them.
Yeah.
And so he's looking at this. And this was about 2 minutes into the conversation. He adds it up and he's like, okay, like this car has $475 of fuel that it used this weekend. And I was like, yes. And he was like, the reason I'm asking is because the fuel stop charged him $825.
Whoa.
Yes. And he said, but because you have these receipts, now I can go back to the customer and we can actually correct this.
That's fucking awesome.
And he was like, thank you for doing this.
Good.
And I was like, you're welcome. And it was like that, that's like that I like. Right?
I wouldn't believe it if he didn't invite you back for another event.
I would be surprised. I'd be surprised. But it was like that's what I like. Someone on their ball who like he's obviously gone through this training before, right? Where he knows he's gonna get to the point at the end, but he wants to see what you have on the table first. Right. And I appreciate that because then if I get caught with my pants down, I'm gonna fucking remember it next time. I'll show you, right? So
ultimately, you are there to learn. You are there to
and I am there to learn. But it was nice to be like, I have all this. I'm trying to be professional about it. Here's everything I got.
Qualified.
And it was good, right? And so it's like stuff like that. Like I appreciate having him there and having him teach me that stuff. And I'm learning that stuff. And I'm also learning a lot about like general 914s and how this trackside support works and all this other stuff, right? So from that perspective, it was a good weekend. From interacting with some of the other guys, it was quite the damper. But I tried to make the most of it, and I did enjoy hearing the V10 F1 car go around. I will say that. It was very cool. It was very cool.
Building a team is a difficult thing, and it's hard also if the pool of candidates is small. Like, if you had to fire one of the guys on that team, how do you find a new one? Right? That's not super easy to do.
Yeah, and like if you're distanced from the culture, it's very challenging to understand how they're going to talk about it when one of them gets fired, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, like our guy got fired now, like fuck you, right? And it's very hard to understand that side of the culture.
Right.
And so I actually thought about this because I was like, man, like if I want to have a racing team one day, like I don't want this.
You got to build it right from the ground up.
I want like real, dedicated, smaller crews of very focused driven people.
Yeah.
And like that's it.
But also like this ultimately the buck stops with the team leader. Wrong. So it's like if the leader values a team that collaborates and cooperates and isn't like rasm like insult based like community, call that shit out. If you don't want that and you see that happen, call it out, reprimand someone publicly. Say, we don't do that on this team. We build each other up. We don't tear each other down. If you know how to do something, teach someone else. If you guys have a disagreement, try to figure out why you each do it a certain way to figure out what the better way is. Don't just argue for semantics, right?
Yeah.
Like we're here to do a good job. We're not here to fuck around. And if you don't call that out, then it's just going to run rampant. And it sounds like that's what's happening. So,
Yeah. So from that perspective, it was a good weekend.
Cool.
From other perspectives, it was challenging because the approach was so jarring. I hadn't experienced like this level of rudeness and abruptness really ever, or at least in a very long time since I was in like grade school.
Right.
And so that part of it was really quite jarring. But otherwise, there were several parts that were enjoyable intermixed with that. So that's about my very, very long-winded business update. Holy smokes, that was like an hour.
Yeah.
Goodness. But looking forward to this week of selling more 914 parts, going through organization. Hopefully I'll have an update about the shop space and when that will be coming to fruition. And hopefully I don't have my BMW back yet. They're still working on the ABS module and keyless entry, so hopefully I'll have that back within the next couple of weeks.
But awesome, dude.
Yeah, that's what I got. What do you have for business this week?
My business update is longer than it has been usually. So last time we left off, I've got a buyer who's a VA buyer looking at buying vacant land and building a home on it, or just looking at a home. The last time we talked, we had shown a property and we were preparing to make an offer. And I think during the podcast, they were like, let's do the offer or something like that. I can't remember. We wound up doing a little bit of background research on this house. I'm trying to remember because this was like 2 weeks ago now. A lot has happened. We did a CMA on this house, and it was a little funky. We couldn't get some like exact comparisons. This is in a nice gated neighborhood. There's a collection of gated neighborhoods around there, but houses don't go up for sale very often. So we couldn't get some like exact comparisons, but we got pretty close and we got a CMA value. And so we said, here's the value that we found. How would you like to proceed? And they said, let's submit an offer under that value. And I said, okay, cool. So we wrote up the offer. I did some background research on this guy. He bought the house in 2018 along with vacant land. It was his first time buying property. He had rented up until then. And then in 2023, he sold the vacant land, made 20 grand on that sale. And now he's selling the house. He bought the house for half of what we have offered for it. And he bought it cash. So I know he's got a ton of equity in this house. He bought it for like $276,000 in 2018, which is crazy. Nice house. 276 is a great deal for 2018.
Wow.
So he got a good deal. I know he's got a ton of equity. I also know that he has since moved to Florida, and in early 2025 he moved up north and he bought a place for $545,000. So I know roughly what his net is here, right? He's making money no matter what, because the current home is valued at like over the 540 mark. But I kind of know where he's at, and the house has been listed for a while. It's listed with a flat fee agent, so that agent gets paid like $300 a deal. So that agent isn't incentivized to do anything. Yeah, I figured this out later on because I was messaging the agent, he wasn't getting back to me, and I was like, what the fuck? And the agent was like, oh, here, message the seller, and I was like, okay. And so I submitted the offer to the agent and the seller, and they sent us back a very reasonable counter offer. I was like, okay, this is awesome. It's below our CMA. So we don't even have the grounds to go and say, hey, we did analysis and the home is worth less because you're below our CMA. So it's a good deal. And our clients were like, that's awesome. There's one more house that we want to look at. It checks all the boxes. Let's just go look at it. I was like, okay. So we look at that house. They like it. They want to put an offer on it. I go, okay, sounds good. What do you want to offer? I do a CMA. I send it to them. The house is actually listed below what the CMA is at. The house is listed for a good price. And they were like, we want to do way below that. And I was like, okay. And they were like, we want to do way below that because we have an offer that we like already on property A. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So offer property B, we submitted a lower offer. The real estate agent for property B is delightful. So pleasant to like talk on the phone with, so pleasant to work with. Real estate agent for property A is the flat fee agent who isn't doing shit. And I always prefer working with a real estate agent if I can over the seller, because it's not my job to advocate to the seller. It's my job to advocate to the real estate agent.
Yeah.
I want someone who knows how to speak my language, and then they can go translate it how they want to the seller. So anyways, we submit the offer. They come back to us and they say, hey, we got another offer on the same day. And I was like, okay, house has been on the market for a year. Cool. And they were like, can you buyers do better? And I was like, maybe there's maybe a deal in here somewhere. But just so you know, they have an offer for another house that they really like. And they were like, okay, well, just submit a counter to us, right? So they countered, and it was a really respectable counter. I think it was a pretty good counter. I think a deal could have been made there, right? So like we've put out offers on property A and property B. We get counters back on both. They're both strong counters. And I really think that property A, we're a lot closer to a deal. Property B, we're a little further away, but I think it's possible. And property B is like the house that checks all their boxes. And our clients look at everything and they go, well, property A, we have a really great offer on. We think it's a better offer. Property B, let's be a little aggressive. And I was like, we don't have to do that. She's a nice lady. Like, we don't have to be unreasonable. And they were like, well, let's just see if we can get them to come down anymore. And I was like, they've come down a lot already. Like their first offer was like, it came down like halfway. Like you made an offer 30 grand below what the house is listed for. It's already listed below CMA. They came down 15. They met you halfway. And they were like, well, they only came down like 14,800. I was like, okay, but it's like halfway, right? And they said, okay, let's do a counter at 4,000 above our original offer with a $4,000 credit at closing. And I was like, that is the same offer. It's a higher sale price, but you get the credit at closing, so it negates out. And so we sent that to property B, and their agent was like, this is the same offer. Do you really want me to read this to my client? And I was like, that's what I've been told. And she was like, can you ask your buyers, like, if this is their best, last, and final? Because, like, I don't want to fuck around. And so I went back to my buyers, and they were like, we'll come up $2,000. And I was like, okay, we're coming up $2,000, but there are a couple other terms that I'll speak about after all the deals are over that are actually really creative, that our clients are doing a lot for her, right? Actually, I can talk about it now. This lady is selling her house. She's moving into a new build, but she can't move into that new build until it's done being constructed. It's not done until June. And so our clients were willing to close on the house, buy it in May, and then let her live there from May to June rent-free, which is, it's called a post-occupancy clause. You can do a post-occupancy, but you pay the equivalent of rent while you're living there, right? But you have to find someone who's willing to let you do that. Most people, when they buy a home, they want to move in right away. You just bought a home, right? But you have to find someone willing to let you do that. And our people are letting you do it rent-free, right? So yeah, our offer might be a little lower than what the home may be worth, but we're a unique offer. So I actually think it's kind of fair, right? There was an added variable of the seller didn't want to offer, she wanted to do 2% commission to the buyers, and our fee is 2.5%. And so I said, that's another thing we have to negotiate on. And the real estate agent was like, I mean, I can maybe do it, but like, it's just not high enough. We've got this other offer. And I was like, sounds good. We'll let you know how the inspection on property A goes. See you later. And so we go back to property A. We go, can you do a little better? And he goes, yeah, I can do a little better. And we were like, okay. And so we sign the contract. We go under contract on property A. It's a great price. Home seems to be in good shape. Inspection scheduled for Monday. I get a call on Saturday, and the real estate agent for property B goes, hey, that other offer sucks. They didn't come through. Is there a way that we can make a deal work with your buyers? And I was like, we're already under contract on this other property. I will let you know how the inspection goes. If anything falls through, we'll come back to you. But just so you know, I don't think my buyers are going to be coming up another like 20 grand. So if your seller wants to make the deal happen, they're just going to have to come closer to us, right? Again, we think it's really generous of our buyers to offer the post-occupancy with no fee. And she was like, okay, let me know how it goes. We get to Monday. The inspector comes out. Inspector does his inspection. This is Levi with Shorebreak Home Inspections. He's fucking fantastic, right? Does a great thorough inspection, comes back. What you're looking for on an inspection really is what is on the 4-point, which is what insurance companies use to determine whether they'll insure a house or not.
Yeah.
If insurance won't insure, lenders won't give you money, stops the deal dead in its tracks, right? Look out for 4-point stuff, right? That's the biggest thing that you're looking for. There's 2 items on the 4-point. Neither of them are a super huge deal. It's like a leak in one of the pipes that's easy to get to. And there's the electrical panel has double tapped neutrals. I don't know what that means. It's electricity. I'm not going to know. It's like a couple $100 fix, right? That's it. Those are the only 2 issues. There's other stuff that the house needs. The house isn't perfect, right? Like the handrail is loose and whatever. There's other smaller issues, right? And so our buyers go, okay, great. We need the 4-point issues fixed, obviously. But we also have this other list of things that there's a long list of shit that needs to be fixed. A huge chunk of it we're willing to just take and pay for after we close on the house. This other list we would like to have credited at closing. And I go, okay, that's reasonable. We'll talk to the seller. And so obviously I'm talking to the seller, not the seller's agent, because he's a flat fee agent. He doesn't fucking do anything. He just signs the paperwork. And so I called the actual seller and I'm like, hey, here's what's going on. Here's all the inspections and everything. He was like, I'm actually flying down to Florida to help my mom move and button up the house and get it ready for sale. Can I just meet the buyers and I'll walk them through all the items? Because some of the stuff on here I can fix while I'm down in Florida. And I was like, okay, sure. He seems like a nice seller. He's like, very punctual. He's very timely. He's a nice guy. My buyers are nice people. And this could work out well. And so we schedule a meeting. I think we're a little far apart when we go into this meeting because there's a whole home generator. So if your power goes out during the hurricane, the generator flips on and powers the home. He maintains this generator really well. He has maintenance logs. Most people don't. Most sellers don't have logs for anything. This dude's got binders. He's got fucking documentation for everything. He's walking the sellers through the home. He's showing them like everything. They're having conversations. He was like, oh, the inspector couldn't get the sprinkler system to work. Here, you got to do it. Here's how you work it. It works fine. Problem solved. We couldn't get the generator inspector out in time, so we went with an electrician who says he inspects generators. He looked at it. He said that the motor wasn't outputting enough power to power the whole home, and so the whole thing needs to be replaced. And I was like, okay, from my mechanical engineer
Yeah, but
perspective.
the generators aren't designed to power the whole home. They're designed to power your essential electrics.
Well, yeah. So it's it wasn't generating enough voltage. I don't remember what the specs were.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Motor wasn't working as well as it should have, right? When my car misses on cylinder 3, I don't replace the car. So I don't think it needs a whole new generator. My buyer is like, well, if the generator doesn't work, then we have to take that into account and we need to be credited for the cost of replacing the generator. So ripping the old one out and putting a new one in. And I was like, yeah, that is a lot of money. It's more than you could be credited in closing. We're going to have to renegotiate the sale price of the house. So we get out there, the seller's walking us through it, and he was like, yeah, you know, I don't understand why the guy said it didn't work because I run it every week. And so we turn it on, it works. And he was like, you know, I have the guy who regularly services this coming out tomorrow. Let's do a full test where we shut down power to the house and we turn on the generator and see if it runs everything. And they ran it. It's got 2 bad capacitors. That's it. And the seller is going to get it fixed. So no issues with the generator, right? On top of that, he said he's going to fix all of the 4-point stuff. Half of it's done already. Actually, I think all of it's done by today. So no inspection issues. Of the long list of other things, he's going through and he's checking stuff off to fix as many of them as he can, which is phenomenal. Most sellers just argue about the credit at closing, about what you're owed or not, because they don't technically have to do anything. I mean, if you accept a finance offer, you accept that it needs to be insured. So if there's problems with insurance, you're accepting that you should be the one to fix that, right?
Yeah.
But additional things like a loose handrail or whatever, that's not a 4-point item. And he's going through and fixing those, you know, of his own volition, which is really awesome. And the fact that he's communicating with our buyers is really awesome too. So all of that is going well so far. At this point, all the 4-point stuff has been taken care of. The appraiser has come through and given the thumbs up, which is great because we had a clause in the original contract saying the seller doesn't want to pay more than $1,000 for any VA appraisal stuff, because sometimes the VA appraiser comes out and is like, I don't like that the paint is chipping. And so then you have to fix that. It's not a 4-point issue. It's not going to come up on an inspection. It's a VA specific thing. VA guy came through, thumbs up, everything's good. So all that we're down to now is we got an extension on the inspection periods, have the generator guy come out on Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. Inspection period ends at midnight tonight, right? At this point, of the list of items that need to be fixed, the 4-point stuff is done. A bunch of the other random items are done. There's just 2 things left, right? We have them valued at $2,000, right? And the seller is saying, hey, I got a bunch of stuff done. I'd like to offer $1,000 credit at closing, right? All of the remaining stuff is negotiable. This $1,000 and whether it's worth $2,000 and whether or not we should actually be credited for is totally negotiable, because these are just items that the buyer was like, I feel like I shouldn't have to pay for them. And that's completely negotiable one way or the other. And so we sent all this update of here's everything that's been repaired to the buyers last night. I haven't heard from them yet today. It's 8:22 p.m. And so we have until the end of today. Tonight, the inspection period ends. So starting tomorrow, they can't back out of this deal without losing their escrow. And that is leverage for the seller. So if we get to tomorrow morning and we send that, you know, credit and we say, hey, sign this to give us $1,000 credit at closing, he could say, nah, you could back out and I'll just take your $5,000 in escrow. So I really don't want that to happen. I'd like him to sign it tonight. I'd like my buyers to sign it tonight. He's already proposed it in an email. So even if it does go to tomorrow, I think we have a leg to stand on for like convincing him to sign it. But if our buyers want to negotiate between 1,000 and 2,000, I have to do that tonight. And so, I mean, we lose our leverage tomorrow, right? Now, I don't know if the client really understands an inspection period and whether or not he understands the escrow thing, because he just wants to get his house sold and he hired a shit real estate agent. So if our buyers don't get back to us tonight, there's nothing saying you can't negotiate a credit at closing after the inspection period. But everybody in the industry knows I, as a buyer's agent, lose all my leverage the second the inspection period is over. The only reason everybody knows that is because everybody's a real estate agent. And this chump hired a shitty real estate agent. So he might not know that. And so I can continue negotiating as if everything's normal, and he may not realize that he just doesn't have to do anything because he'll just get our escrow money, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that our buyers get back to us tonight. And I actually sent a recommendation to our buyers. I said, hey, listen, this guy has been fucking phenomenal. I've worked with some terrible sellers. I've heard of even worse sellers. I've never worked with a seller this easygoing or knowledgeable about their own home. We were standing in the kitchen with the seller, and the seller was like, do you have any more questions? And the buyer was like, yeah, what kind of paint do you have? Is it silicone based? Because like something about the rain getting into the walls. And he was like, I have it in a binder somewhere, like, whatever in the other room. I'll find it for you tonight. And then he found that paint later that night. Like, do you know what kind of paint is on your Miata? I have no fucking idea, right? But this guy had it cataloged. Like, he's been delightful. And so my professional recommendation to my buyers was like, take the credit, take the 1,000. He's already like, blown me away in regard of what a seller can do. And the credit has always been negotiable. And the fact that we're getting all of these items fixed and a bunch of knowledge and info. And he's even said, after you buy the house, if you want my personal contact information, if you have more questions after you're the homeowner, I'll help you out. That's above and beyond. So I think you should just take it. So if so, we'll send it over tonight. We'll get it signed. We'll all be good. And then we can get the surveyor out and move on with the process. But there's still time for everything to blow up. So we'll see. And in my recommendation, I said, I recommend you take the 1,000. If you want me to go negotiate, I will do so, no hesitation, no holds barred. I am a weapon and I fire in the direction that I'm pointed. So you tell me what to do. But from my perspective, from what I've seen, take it. So that's my client update. If all goes well, we close in the middle of May. And I'm looking forward to it.
Sweet.
For lead gen, I said last time I was rerunning my prompts. And I was rerunning my prompts again when I realized that it wasn't getting better. Because I would go through and I would edit it and everything was fine, but like everything kept coming out as very buyer focused and very buyer oriented. And I really want these ads to be directed primarily at first time home sellers. If I get some buyers, cool. If I have like one buyer ad that I run in a different ad set or something, neat. But like, I really want this to be directed for first time sellers. I think the issue is in my business context document, all of my experience has been with buyers or not first time sellers. So I think that it's using the business context document and the information that it has in junction with the prompts that are written to do that. So I went through and I read through the prompts, and when I controlled F through the prompts, buy came up like 50 times and sell came up 25. So buy was referenced more times than sell. So now I've gone through each of the prompts and I've edited them.
Yeah.
If it says buyer and seller, I've switched it to seller and buyer because I think subliminally it might prioritize the first one. But in instances where it has buyer specific things, I've swapped it out for a seller specific thing, or I've just balanced the numbers by adding a seller specific thing. For the different like Reddits that it visits to research, I've changed it to be more relevant ones. For websites, same deal. So I've gone through and I've now edited all the prompts to be more seller focused.
Cool.
And so now I'm going through again, rerunning prompts and seeing, does it come out seller focused? Okay. So that's what I was in the middle of when work fucking exploded the other week. And I haven't been back to it yet. And then this deal happening takes a lot of effort.
I presume the prompts weren't going to be perfect.
It's okay.
At least it was a starting point. I look forward to seeing what it outputs.
Me too. I mean, if I could get this second real estate closing in, then that gives me more firepower to put behind the ads, which is great. So
very cool.
That's my business update.
Yeah.
What lessons did you learn this week?
My lesson this week was I still have a lot of self-improvement to do, but I want to continue focusing on making myself better in the areas that I value. And so that stems from, I think half the reason I was irritated this weekend in Road Atlanta was because the nitpicking and the childish remarks were genuinely unwarranted and fucking annoying.
Mm-hmm.
The other half of it was I was annoyed at the fact that it annoyed me. So like the actual fact that it bothered me because I didn't want to care, but I did.
Right.
And so this lesson learned stems from the fact that I'd like to be able to go into a situation like that and be like, your comments are fucking stupid. Not this literal sense, just metaphorical sense.
Right.
These comments are stupid. I'm not going to pay attention to this. I don't have to surround myself with these kinds of people
Right.
to get where I want to go. I can take what I can and I can ignore the rest. I just have a hard time with the ignore the rest part.
Right.
And so that's something that I want to work on. I don't want to become like one of those people. That's not my goal and not my intention or incentive. But I do want to be able to learn. And if I am forced to be around people like this to learn valuable information under the surface, then I need to be able to completely channel that out of my mind.
Right.
And so that's kind of where this self-growth lesson learned for this week comes from. But what do you have for your lesson learned this week?
Mine I kind of came up with on the fly today. Because I was thinking about it. I was like, I've had 2 long fucking weeks. What did I learn? And I think the most valuable thing that I learned is from the PDR charts. Ask for cheat codes. So like go whoever's in charge, just go to them and say, what do you want to see? And then just give them that. And like, fuck everybody else. Like there's 3 layers of command between me and the guy who it really matters. And everyone thinks that someone else wants something different. Fuck all that. Just only listen to the person who like the buck stops with. And so like, if that means going to the VP's office and saying, how the fuck do you want me to present this? Do that. And it's because my slides weren't perceived as well as I thought they would be. And it's because everybody views it differently and everybody wants it presented from a different perspective. And every fucking person who I talk to has a different opinion on it. And like, ultimately, all that matters is where does the buck stop, and then deliver it the way that they want it. Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if other people disagree. Just say, well, the person grading it that's what they're asking for. And then they'll have to go, okay. So that's what I've learned, and that's what I'm going to do moving forward. So with this CAM stuff, this cost account management stuff, I'm just going to go to whoever my highest ranking official for the CAM shit is, which is probably the fucking DCMA, which is the government company that it's the Department of Contracts Management and Accounts or something like that. They fucking are the ones that audit us. I'm probably just going to go to whoever the government fucking official is for that. Say like, how do you want these reports submitted? And I'm going to do it that way.
Yeah.
But ask for cheat codes. That's my lesson learned.
Cool. You got to dial in for us?
I do. This comes from a coworker. One day, it was a Thursday before the off Friday, and I was like, he was like, "Are you coming in tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah, I still have to all these 200 criteria I have to match to 5,000 slides." And he was like, "Man, you're doing all that tomorrow?" And I was like, "Tomorrow and Saturday if I can't get it done tomorrow." And he was like, "Damn." And I was like, "Yeah, I keep waiting for someone else to come in and help, and it's just like not happening. Like people just keep asking shit from me, and like it just keeps coming." And he said, "We are the cavalry."
Yeah.
So that made my quote list.
We are the cavalry.
Yeah,
I dig it.
That's
Very
it.
cool.
That's all I got.
Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Vision 79 podcast. This was episode 105.
Mhm.
So getting quite up there, over 2 years of filming. Thank you all for thank you all of you, for those of you, I guess, who have been here from the beginning, and for the new few who have come in. Appreciate you listening. Hope you have a great week coming up, and we will see you next time.